Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the World Online Racing YouTube channel for round number 9 or 10, I believe. No, round number 10 of this PC Tier 1 season. Tonight, the drivers are venturing off into the Netherlands at the undulating and ever-evolving track of Zandvoort. It's going to be a fun one this evening. We saw it in real life Formula 1 today. That certainly served us up a treat. Hopefully it's going to be the same here this evening. My name is Dan Field, and once again I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks Dan. Nice to be back here on Tier 1 for what I think will yet again be another great Grand Prix. I just looked at the grid before we got on, and it is a very good grid. I think from what I've done this season, probably the best one we've had. So I think this will be quite an exciting race and around the track, which I think qualifying's quite interesting. The race isn't always that interesting because of the nature of the track, but I think either way, obviously, even if weather comes into the play with maybe it being wet or winters, I think it'd make it a lot more interesting. So we'll just see what happens tonight.
Yeah, this track can be very difficult to overtake on, but its high-speed nature makes for a very exciting qualifying. It's a very quick lap. It's around about 1 minute and 10 seconds or something like that. I haven't actually driven it or commentated over it on this F1 23 game, so I'm very excited to see how these drivers get on. But before we head into the qualifying session, we're going to talk about the results from last week. And if you missed it, well, you missed out on quite a lot, because Jack took victory in the Spanish Grand Prix with Joseph Loke in second. Jan Ortmez struggled with the I think we're back. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat if the stream is still working. I don't know what has happened there. What is the stream back up? Can everyone hear me? Apologies about that, everyone. Nathan, I think it's up now.
Yeah. Well, we are back on my end, I think. So that's good. I can see the stream on my screen, so I presume we are. So
yeah,
people in the chat. That's good.
Okay.
Finally.
Apologies about that, everyone. I don't know what happened there. My stream just stopped. My game crashed as well, so I have no idea what just happened there. But I'm gonna have to launch F1 up again. Apologies about that, everyone. But we should hopefully have no more issues going on this evening. I'll bring us back over to the results scene, where Jack West, of course, he took the win. You can see it all on your screen. I believe I got all the way down to Philip Prejnader. That was where I was on. He was in 8th. 9th was Andrei Tarabukin. Rounding out the top 10 was Ulash Zildrum and Nathan, of course, coming into that race. We counted out Jack West, and it was a big surprise that he took it in the end.
Yeah, he did a great job. I think one of the things was that his setup works for him. And obviously it must just be a track that he did well with in the wet. But I think he was on some great pace, and I'm not sure it's something we'll see from Jack all the time, along with Joseph as well, who took P2. I still think that was a great race from them. And also, I remember in Tier 2 the next day, they also did a great job there. So Spain, for those who was a good track, and also Iano missing out on that win due to not having the right set, because you could see at the end he lost a lot of pace, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did fall off, unfortunately, towards the end of that race. It really just wasn't suited for the wet weather conditions. He was still able to get third position, and he was still able to extend his points tally, because he is now leading this championship by miles at this point. He is on 136 points ahead of Lucas Blakely, who missed out on that race, and Nicholas Longuet had a fantastic opportunity to bridge that gap between second and third, but coming into the wet weather conditions, he really did something happened there. I think he might have lost his head. Of course, the strategy also didn't work out in his favour, and unfortunately he scored 0 points. Otis Lawrence is back this weekend with Tomek Perejic in 5th position on 51 points. 6th is Van Pookie on 45, the same as Fabrizio Donoso, who also struggled in that race. Alvaro Caraton has increased his points tally ever so slightly, is now on 34. Thomas Ronhar in on 30 points in 9th, and then Piotr Stahalek ran in the top 10 as well on 30 points. And Nathan, a lot of guys, they did miss out on that race, and we had plenty of reserves finishing in the top 10. Championship standings, they sort of remain unchanged at this point.
Yeah, I think at the moment the main battle is probably between Nicholas and Otis, and then I'd say Tomek down to around Stahalek. That's about 21 points. So fifth down, there is quite a big battle going on. I think also, obviously, there'll be a few people, maybe 2 or 3 points off that are outside the top 10. So who are all involved in this battle. But I think the battle for the championship, I think, because of the position Jarno's in and how consistency is, I think he's pretty much untouched at this point. But we never know what can happen. Just say he DNFs this race or scores no points on Lucas was to win. The gap would go from 38 to around 15, something like that. So the championship gap can come down, but it's very unlikely that Jarno will make a big mistake to end up scoring no points.
Yeah, Jarno Uppbeat, he really is on form at this point, and they call him Cookmere. And I think they call him that for a reason. We'll have a look at the grid for tonight before we get into qualifying and what a grid we're being treated to. Frederik Rasmussen, an F1 Esports staple and an absolute legend in the scene, is making his PC Tier 1 debut this season alongside Josh Adobu in the Red Bull. Then Tomek Parajic is back with Nicholas Longay in the Ferrari. Jarno Uppbeat and Jake Benham, ever familiar in that Mercedes. Jed Norgrove and Patrick Sipos in the Alpine. Lucas Blakely coming back this weekend, and Danny Moreno as well. We haven't seen him since round number 3 or something, so it's great to see the Spaniard back on the grid. Istvan Pukki and Jack West, last week's race winner in the Alfa Romeo. Fabrizio Donoso in the Aston Martin alongside Otis Lawrence, who's back after serving his race bans. Alfie Butcher and Xander Van Dyken in the Haas. Then Tom Manley and Joni Tormala as well, making his debut this season, if I'm not mistaken, in the Alfa Tauri. And then rounding out the grid is Ben Abercrombie and Will Lewis in the Williams. Nathan, this grid is absolutely fantastic. I think it might be the best we have had this season.
Yeah, well, from what I can remember, it is definitely, in my opinion, the best we've had this season. Also, Patrick, I don't think he's taking part in quali, and Otis got the qualifying ban. So only 3 people drop out in Q1, which I think the good thing for many drivers is that relieves the pressure on the fact it's not 5 going out, it's only 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does help you quite a lot in giving you confidence that, your lap is likely going to be good enough, especially if you are in the upper echelons of the grid. So, Q1 might be a little bit more low-key, but we know this PC Tier 1 grid, and we know how close they like to keep things in qualifying. So we will join you on the circuit after a quick word from our sponsors at Next Level Racing. Welcome back, trackside everyone, here in Zandvoort, where Freddie Rasmussen, making his PC Tier 1 debut this season, is taking to the circuit. You see he's on the intermediate tyres, he slides his way through turn number 1. It's looking a little bit hazy up ahead in the clouds, some cloud coverage up ahead, but Nathan, no signs of rain for the time being.
Yeah, no signs of rain just yet, but to be fair, for some reason, the track does look a little bit wet, but obviously that's, I think, due to the lighting on the game, as Freddie is going through that first sector, 25.000. Obviously, we want to see that when we actually get the proper laps on. But Freddie, I think, is a driver that we expect to see doing well tonight. Obviously, since 2019, I believe he's scored second in the Esports Championship every single time. So he's not always at the top as in terms of being the quickest driver, but he is always one of the most consistent. So I expect we see at least quite a lot from him, and hopefully for Freddie, a top 5 in this race tonight.
I think it's safe to say that Freddie Rasmussen is firmly within that top 3 F1 Esports drivers of all time. You've got to think Jarno Uppbeat, Brendan Lee, and then Freddie Rasmussen. Even though he's yet to win, he's finishing second all this time. He's ever consistent in the F1 Esports series, and whenever you watch his streams, he's like a robot, or whenever he's got a face cam on. So he's just so he is like a machine, Freddie Rasmussen, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him this evening as he crossed the line with a 1 minute 12.4. We're going to expect a lot quicker times than that once they head onto a set of the soft compound of tyres. But we'll have to wait and see. We've got a few more drivers out on circuit. Jarno Opmeer is on track, current championship leader, and given how Spain went for him last week, Nathan, he is not going to be wishing for any rain this evening.
Oh yeah, definitely not. His pace in the wet wasn't that good, and I believe that was mainly due to setup. He had a completely dry setup on, and obviously around Spain, a dry setup in the wet weather isn't the most ideal around here, I'm sure, because obviously you normally run quite high wings. It isn't as harmful if you was to run a dry setup in the wet weather, but obviously they know approximately what weather they will have this evening. We don't have a clue at all, so we just got to kind of guess. But so far, it does look very overcast, so maybe we do see some rain coming at the end of the session. But with the fact only a couple of drivers have gone out at the start, it doesn't seem that possible at the moment. So we'll see what happens in Q2 and 3. But obviously, if we do have changing conditions, that really does spice quality up, because anyone can go out in Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about 13 and a half minutes left to go. It's around about the 10-minute mark is when we start to see drivers exiting the pit lane on a set of the softs. We'll have a look at the tyre compounds everyone's choosing. Of course, no one's going to be utilising the mediums and the hards. But we'll see once, Jarno Opmeer, Freddie and Danny, once they all swap onto that set of the soft, they should be ready to go out on circuit. But it will look like a ghost town in a few moments' time. So I think it is a good time to ask everyone in the live chat who they are supporting this evening. There's lots of names that you could really root for this evening. As Jarno Opmeer is sliding his way through the final sector, I give that a 9.5 out of 10. He's certainly a fan favourite coming into this one. Danny Moreno's back. Lucas Blakely is back. Nicholas Longay, Jake Benham, all these guys massively popular with the fans. And I want to read out some of your responses in the live chat. Already seeing a bunch of replies saying Jarno, Musa and Dark Ghost saying Jarno, Instable saying go Fred, that is Freddie Rasmussen. Then a lot of love for Jarno Opmeer, a lot of love for Freddie Rasmussen in the live chat. Nathan, this grid, it's fantastic. What can we say?
It is. I'm looking through, and obviously a couple of names that are catching my eye are obviously Fred Rasmussen hasn't, I believe, made a debut yet this season until now. Danny Moreno also, I don't think he's been here for quite a while, and obviously got lots of Yanni Tumler as well, and obviously you got Lucas, Jarno, Nicholas, the three at the moment that are at the top of the championship. I think it's a very close grid and a very, very strong grid, and I think it's the closest we've had to esports, I think, this season so far. Obviously, we've also got the lots of drivers that aren't in esports yet, so we've got people like Jack West, Isvan Pookie, Zan Van Dyken, Ben Shabakonyi. Obviously, if you can see on the screen, he's probably called Photon, but that's obviously his Steam name, so yeah, that's, if you're getting confused, that is Ben Shabakonyi.
Yeah, right. He's been Photon for as long as you can remember on the F1 game, but of course now everyone uses their real names. It is a little bit weird, we were talking about this, I think, either on PSL a few weeks ago or on WOR, how it is a bit funny to see everyone using their real names when I got so used to back on the PlayStation reading out everyone's usernames. So Photon, it is nice to see Bentsy's going back to his roots there, and he was been a part of the PC league racing scene since since it kind of blew up. He was there before, because I remember back in the F1 2019-2020 days, that was when the console was the quickest platform to be on in terms of league racing, and then PSL came to PC, then WOR made the PC platform, and then it has just exploded from there as we're awaiting the first runners out on circuit. I do apologise for the wait. We should have some guys out on track, and I'm just wondering who is going to be quickest to the punch and who is going to exit the pit lane first. You have to watch all the garages for one of the engineers to come out of the pit lane, then you can make your guess who it is.
Yeah, well, no moving just yet. Normally we get it about 10 minutes in, so we're not very far, I don't think, from that point. I can see some movement then in the Williams garage, but that's, I think, only because I can see the engineers in the garage. Everyone else is all, through the other side of the pit lane, so I can't actually see their engineers moving at all. Hopefully that we do get underway pretty shortly. Only 3 lap times on the board so far. Jarno, Freddie and Danny sitting 1, 2 and 3 off on the intermediate tyres, and if you don't know why they run the inters, that's obviously to test equipment. Obviously you wouldn't want to waste yourself a set of soft tyres, especially in this 3 qualifying format where every set of soft tyres for most drivers counts.
10 minutes to go then. We're going to await for the first drivers to exit the pit lane. It's around about this point that they decide to come out on track. And Nathan, I think this does actually confirm to us we're not going to see any rain in this session. Because, well, you know, if it was raining later on, they'd come out earlier on a set of the slicks, and they also wouldn't have used up the set of the intermediate. So if they're waiting as long as possible in the pit lane, then surely we're going to see dry running for at least Q1. But the clouds looming in the sky are very worrying as both Ferraris exiting the pit lane. I see Benjamin Ocon, I think Joni Tormala, everyone now with 9.5 minutes left to go, coming out on circuit, and the first driver to get out is going to be Nicolas Longue, looking for vengeance after a poor Spanish Grand Prix last week to see if he could do well at Zandvoort.
Yeah, well, obviously in Spain we had, I think it was Nicolas, his teammate, and a couple of the start on the softs and go to the mediums and obviously try and charge back through before the rain came. And, well, it started to work, but the rain came at the wrong time for them. The rain came as soon as they caught up to this the hard runner pack. And then the rain came, he did well in his pace, he was moving himself up the field, I think he was about third or fourth, and then he had two incidents, one with Alvaro Carreton, and then one, I think it was with Valentin Bruffair, wasn't it, down at turn one. Yeah. So, poor showing for Nicolas. It's not the type of show we normally see from him in racing, so hopefully tonight he can get himself into that top five, maybe even a podium area to get himself closer to Lucas Blakely, and also try and bridge that gap away from, as there we are, penalty. How amazing!
Well, we're getting used to it at this point. I mean, I thought a patch was coming ages ago for this glitch to be fixed, but it doesn't appear to be the case, so we should likely have a restart coming into the race, and that is where, of course, WOR got the name World Online Restart, so we are living up to that one this evening. But the first driver who is going to put us onto a lap, I believe, is Joni Tormala, a driver I've not really seen on this F1 23 game. I think he has been busy with Red Bull and such, and doing other events, so it is good to see the Finn, the father I believe they call him, on the grid tonight.
Yeah, as we head through in towards this final chicane. A few people get made to start their laps. I think Yoni's at the front, isn't he? Yeah, he's the one starting his lap first. He heads down with the DRS in towards that first corner around here. You've got two DRS zones, one down into that first corner and then the second down towards that chicane where many people are at the moment. Into turn one, down to fourth gear, keep it to the third gear, keep it to the inside. They get back on the power nice and early. Obviously on this game, this track's a lot nicer because of the fact you have a lot more traction, so putting your foot down is a lot easier. As Johnny in towards turn three, slides the car in very nicely on the exit as he heads through. Up to the end of this first sector, currently on the first lap time, I believe, in this session, so we'll be able to see what the benchmark is in this session. 23.8 in the first section as he heads through in towards turn 8 at the right hand. This is where we saw Logan Sargent crash out today in the Netherlands Grand Prix IRL, and Johnny taking that very nicely through towards turn 9, then in towards the 10th turn. Very nice. Then we have the second dose of DRS, where you take yourself down in towards the chicane at turns 11 and 12. And it's a 47.408 for the first and second sector split for Joni Tormala. Very nice out of turn 12, heading down in towards the final two corners. Turn 13, and then you have Harry Lyndike at turn 14 at the banked corner. Then you'll go straight towards the line with the DRS. What will it be for Tormala? Will it be a 108? It is. It's a 108.329.
Yep, nice time from him to get us off the bat. We'll watch Nicolas Longue. Zanna Van Dijken comes across the line, goes 3/10 quicker than Joni does, and then Tomek Paradzic beats yet Zander Van Dijken by about 200. Here comes Nicolas Longue, the first 1:07 of the day. A very nice lap from him there. We'll watch Freddie Rasmussen then come through the final corner. We saw him already on his opening lap on the intermediates, currently dropping down the order. Of course, a 1:12, not a representative lap time for him, but to come across the line, he's going to nestle himself into P6. Should be safe for now. Istvan Pukki finds himself in second with Jack West, his teammate for the evening, in third. So a very nice lap time from the pair of them. Here comes Lucas Blakely to the line, quickest of them all, 1:07.908. A very nice lap from him there. We'll watch Jake Benham, who saw a very early exit in qualifying last time out in Spain. Will he right his wrongs this evening? His teammate Jan Ortmer is just ahead of him on circuit, so we will watch the Flying Dutchman come across the line now. Can he beat Lucas Blakely to the line? It's only 11th position for him, a little bit of a dangerous position for the championship leader at the minute, being down in P12. Jake Benham has just come across the line, set a 1:08.103, but the three drivers who are getting eliminated at the moment in this session, Alfie Butcher, Ben Shabakoni and Will Lewis, and I've got to say, Alfie Butcher, big surprise to see him down there.
Well, we haven't got Fabi in the lobby yet, so I'm not sure if he's joining. If he'll probably join near the end of this session. He's got a qualifying ban as well. So at the moment, it's on the bench and Will going out.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure it's the bottom 5 from like P20. I don't think it's a bottom 5 depending on how many there is it? Like, it's not going to be 19th to 15th out, is it? Surely it's 19th to 16th.
Wait, sorry? No, yeah.
Yeah.
It does that. So if there's less drivers in the lobby and such, sorry, I zoned out for a second there. If there's less drivers in the lobby, then it'll just do 19th or 18th or whatever it is up until 16th, and then we'll still have 15 drivers in Q2. Then that bottom 5 will be eliminated, and the top 10 will advance into Q3. We've just got 4.5 minutes left to go in this session. Lucas Blakely is the quickest of them all at the minute. 1 minute 7.908 from him. Nicholas Longe in second, and then third is Van Pookie and Jack West. Jack West, of course, winning the Spanish Grand Prix last time out. Dare I say it, Nathan? Maybe, just maybe, he could go on for a two-peat this weekend.
Well, I think he'd like it, and I don't want to say yes because I don't want to curse him, because it seems whenever you predict someone to win, they end up getting cursed. So maybe the possibilities there. He's got good pace, as it seems at the start of this session. Both the Ferraris think they're safe, but it's Van Pookie as a driver to me. From what we've seen in this game, in the next few seasons of it, in the next few months, esports teams surely will be looking at Van Pookie thinking maybe we need to give him a shot.
Van Pookie, I think, was one of the most unlucky drivers that I know in the F1 Esports scene. I remember Baku, I think, last season, he was potentially on for the win, then a crash with Patrick Sipos put him out of that Grand Prix, and he very well could have won a season earlier than he did, because, of course, I believe he's won this season. In Saudi Arabia, of course, I was on holiday during that race, so I didn't actually, and truth be told, I didn't watch it, but I do believe that Van Pookie, he did take victory around Saudi Arabia, and I really do think that he has got the pace to potentially find himself in an F1 Esports seat in the future, and he is still, I believe, a young driver, and so, some of these guys are getting on in age. Maybe it is time for these F1 Esports teams to start thinking about their futures. We see plenty of drivers in the pit lane retiring all the way down into 8th position. Jake Benham, will see if he comes out onto circuit. We're watching Alfie Butcher and Ben Jabo-Connie at the moment out on circuit, but as we said at the beginning of the session, Nathan, it is likely to be a bit of a low-key Q1.
Yeah, I think many people probably down to the bottom, maybe down to about 10th, could probably get away with just staying in the pits, because obviously there'll be at least 1 or 2 people most likely in the field that'll make a mistake, or that won't put themselves onto 108.0, because you can see Will Lewis is 6/10 off the top 8, Ben Jabo-Connie is 5/10 off, Yanni's 3/10 off, Alfie's 4, so obviously I'm sure one of those will put themselves below that 108, so yeah, I think you're fine just to top 10 can all, I think, go and retire, but Lucas Blakely is on track.
Very interesting.
So he, for some reason, doesn't think that's enough. Otherwise, he just wants to get himself some screen time as he puts in a blistering lap time.
It'd be very, very bold, I'd say, and vying on arrogance from Lucas Blakely. If this is a fresh set of the soft tyres, that is certainly an interesting strategical call from him. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see as he gets on his lap. He shouldn't. That's some quotation marks there. He shouldn't improve on his previous lap time of 107.908, but we never know from Lucas Blakely. He's arguably the quickest driver in F1 at the minute. Alfie Butcher then begins his lap as he weaves his way through this first sector. I said last week this track is a dream to hot lap, but then stick 19 other drivers on the same piece of tarmac and it becomes a living hell. Now in towards the second sector of turn number 8 and 9. These curves can be lethal if he gets onto them too much. Drift out wide, use all the track possible, and then cut back over in towards turn number 10. Then run as wide as you can off the exit, open up the DRS and get the run down in towards turn number 11, where on the inside this curve can be killer if you take too much of it. Slight lock up then from Alfie Butcher, and he's finding only marginal improvements as there's Lucas Blakely just ahead of him on circuit, beginning his final lap through now the final 2 corners of turn number 13 and 14 of Ari Lundijk off the exit. What can Alfie Butcher do? He's going to open up the DRS and we'll see as he comes across the line. Will he find the improvement? Indeed he will. Gets himself into Q2 with a 1 minute 7.950. Very nice time from him there. Ben Jabo-Connie then coming up towards the line next puts Joni Tormala in a place of danger. He goes 12th position. It's not going to be safe, I would say, for Ben Jabo-Connie. He might be a little bit worried about other drivers behind him improving, especially especially since Joni Tormala is on a lap at the minute, but he is down by almost 2.5 tenths of a second, so it might look like Joni Tormala is not going to be able to get into this next session. Will he found time in the final sector? We just don't know. There it is, coming towards the line, P16 and elimination for Joni Tormala. Will Lewis then will be next up to come across the line as Jed Norgrove goes into P5 in the drop zone at the minute. Will Lewis find the time to get himself in the top 15? Indeed he will. Puts his good friend Danny Moreno in the drop zone, who is ever so slightly down in that first sector. Jan Ortmeier then up next to come across the line. He's improving by about 2 tenths of a second, gets himself into P6 and firmly cements himself in the next qualifying session. We'll watch Danny Moreno, who's down by just 0.02 of a second. A marginal improvement will see him into the next session. Freddie Rasmussen to the line with a 1:07.905 ahead of Lucas Blakely, who pitted, as now Danny Moreno the last man to come across the line. Will it be enough to get himself out of qualifying? He finds the improvement, sets the exact same lap time as Will Lewis, but unfortunately he is eliminated from this session due to the fact that the Williams driver set that lap time before Danny Moreno, and he is eliminated in heartbreaking style there.
Oh, what a shame for Danny. That is, I think that's the worst way to go out of a session. It's his first race back for a while. He's out in Q1 when only 2 people could have been eliminated, and he set the exact same time as a guy in P15. Big shame for Danny. He's not going to be happy with that at all, but he has got a long race ahead of him, so hopefully for him he can try and work his way back up the field, because there'll be a few drivers that might be a little bit slower in race pace ahead, because obviously sometimes it might be a little bit slower in qualifying, but some people do have that edge in the race pace, so we'll see what Danny can do when we get to the race. But very nice laps there set by Freddie and Lucas, 2,000 separating each other. Nicholas as well only set 1 lap and got P3, so Nico's got some great pace at the start of this session, at the start of this qualifying session.
Absolutely, and it's a shame for Danny Moreno to be eliminated in that style. If he just found 1,000th of a second, he would have got himself into the next session. So that is very upsetting for him, as Freddie Rasmussen tops Q1. Lucas Blakely is in second, and third is Nicholas Longay. Alfie Butcher puts himself in 4th and out of that drop zone. Jake Benham in 5th, and then Istvan Pukki 6th, 7th for Jed Norgrove. Jan Ortmeier in 8th, 9th for Jack West, then Tomek Peranjic in 10th. Xander Van Dyken, Tom Manley, Joshua Dobu, Ben Shabakonyi and Will Lewis, they all live to fight another day, but only just not too far off being eliminated there. Danny Moreno and Joni Tormala unfortunately out of this session, with Patrick Sipos, Otis Lawrence and Fabrizio Donoso all not taking part in qualifying. We'll flip back over to the intermission scene now to talk about that session. Nathan, any real surprises going out there?
I think Danny was the biggest surprise going out. I think also Yanni, but I know he doesn't play the game as much when it comes to league racing, so obviously it's not expected for him to be at the top. But I think it's the first time I've ever said someone is out by 0.000 of a second.
Yeah, that is it.
Which still is quite crazy, isn't it?
That is an incredibly close margin. We normally see that at the top of the order, but I think it's more surprising, I think, to see it at the bottom of the order, and it is really heartbreaking to see that Danny Moreno has been eliminated in that fashion. Of course, he has been pretty strong so far this season in the 2 races that he's taken part in. He took P3 in the Bahrain Grand Prix for round number 1, of course, this season, and then in round number 4 he took 4th in Brazil. So he's got the pace, and I think if he can find his way up the grid, then he'll have a decent points paying position by the end of this session. We'll bring you back over to the main scene now. You can see drivers coming out on circuit right at the beginning of this Q2 session. Nathan, this is likely on a scrub set of the tyres as everyone tries to weave their way through traffic in the first sector. It's like a car park through there.
It is. Where is he? Yeah, Tom Manley was looking to really rush himself through. He got past both the Hasses and I believe one of the Mercedes on his outlap, so he's going to obviously be setting the first lap time, I believe, in this qualifying 2 session. Both the Red Bulls sitting a little bit further back, and none of the Williams have gone out yet. Bench and Will Lewis still sitting perched in the pit lane, so we'll see what their run plan's going to be. Obviously different to the others as we head through in towards this final chicane with Tom Manley. Obviously we saw IRL, lots of mistakes happening down here in this chicane, so sometimes the braking zone, you can get yourself, you can overextend a little bit, and when you overextend there, you go straight onto the gravel. Luckily, there is a runoff, so you don't have to worry about plummeting into a wall. As Tom Manley comes through turn 13 and 14 to begin his first lap of the Q2 session, heading out with the DRS down towards Box at turn 1, and I'm sorry if I pronounce these names wrong, because I'm not Dutch, so I can't do the Dutch accents. So I can't pronounce any of the corner names correctly at all. As he heads through that corner in gear 4, then he'll obviously come through the gears as he heads through in towards turn 2 at the right hander, then the bounce corner at turn 3. Obviously IRL, you want to go to the outside line. Obviously in esports it's a lot different. You stick to the inside line, up the apex of that corner, and then you head up the little bit of a crest through in towards turns 4 and 5. Then you come to the right hander for turn 6 and 7. Keep it down to 6th gear, you apply the throttle through there. Then you have turn 8 at the right hander, just bounce over that curb. Don't ride that curb, which Tom does, and that is the last thing you want to do, because that is a death curb on this game.
I did say that in the first session. You don't want to ride that curve too much, and unfortunately he's going to have to wait for everyone else to come across so he doesn't impede them. And there's a McLaren off the circuit as well. That's Lucas Blakely going straight on. A championship protagonist, P2 in the standings, making a very rare mistake down at turn number 8 as a few more guys slowing off to the side. Luckily, both Tom Manley and Lucas Blakely were able to avoid hitting the wall there, like Logan Sargent did, unfortunately, in today's Dutch Grand Prix. But wow, that is very early to see these guys making mistakes. You know, this isn't a proper push lap for them, given that they are going to be likely on a scrub set of the tyres as the two Hasses come across the line. You know what, man? Going to be able to split them, all of them, in the low 1 minute 0.8, which is what we saw sort of in the lower end of the top 10 at the end of that first session. So yeah, it is to be expected, Nathan, as Tomek Parajas comes to line with a 1 minute 7.993. It's expected. These guys, they're not on a fresh set of the tyres.
Oh yeah, definitely not. Nico there puts himself top with a 107.894. Freddie into the top 5, matching the time of Jono Opme, and only being 1,000th quicker than Jed Norgrove. So 3 of them separated by 1,000th of a second. It seems, in general, the grid might not be that close, because first down to 9th is separated by about 4/10. But the specific people that are really close together, obviously we had Danny and I believe Will Lewis. They was within 0,000th of a second. You got Jono then to Jed in this session, separated by 1,000th of a second. So yeah, many drivers very close together, as at the moment how the session is. Tom, Jake, the two Williams of Bench, and Will, and then Lucas Blakely. Tom and Lucas were on laps, but obviously went off at the exit of turn 8, heading towards turn 9. It's a very horrible section on this circuit. I'd say probably the most difficult bit to get right. And obviously, if you go off there, I don't think there is any way that you can save that car, because it's such a horrible curb, and it catches so many people out. And sometimes the curb doesn't react realistically. I think the car I think it's a bit of an unrealistic way the cars react there.
It can just completely send you into a spin, and I am one to admit I have done that a few times on this F1 23 game. It is a very easy mistake to make along this circuit, and that is why it can be so challenging, and it is crucial that you're not making these in qualifying, because track position around this circuit is so important, because of course it's so difficult to overtake around here. I mean, turn at number 11, that is a very tight corner at the end of the second DRS straight, where you can't really make an overtake through there. The main overtaking opportunity, Nathan, I'd say, is down into turn number 1 at Tarzan Bocht. And you know, if there's only one overtaking opportunity around this circuit, it is going to be very difficult for these guys to make up positions in the race. So you have to qualify well around here.
It is, considering obviously we know from many league races we've had on this game, nearly every single race we have, there's a big DRS train, which means if you're sitting maybe 10th or 11th in a train, you're really going to struggle to make a move. And the only way you are is if someone makes a mistake ahead, or someone is a lot slower, which in this grid, it's that close. No one's going to be that much slower than you. So yeah, it's going to be difficult if you're starting outside the top 10. So you've got a lot of work to do in that case, and maybe have your setup built towards that you know, more aggressive type you know, straight line speed setup, and maybe even go for starting on the softs in the race, have that, you know, first aggressive push on the better sides than the others in the top 10. Maybe that could help you as well in your charge throughout the race. But obviously, yeah, strategy is going to be key, I think, around here with pit stops, and obviously we know that the undercut can work. And I think around a track like this, because it's difficult to overtake, the undercut is probably better, because with the overcut, yes, you will be quicker, but it's very difficult to overtake. We've seen, obviously, in other esports races here, we've seen IRL, even if you're quicker, it's so difficult to get through. So yeah, I think possibly this week, the undercut could be the strategy to go, but I'm not a strategist, I'm not a driver, so yeah, I'm just trying to see what I think would happen, but obviously what I think isn't always right.
Well, I mean, these guys have a much better grasp of the game than you and I do, and I'd imagine a lot of people watching in the live chat. Of course, if they're unsure, they can ask their wonderful race engineers. A lot does go in to these league races. I'd imagine most of these drivers, if not all of them, are in a Discord VC with someone engineering for them, letting them know the status of this session. So if anyone who is engineering for any of these wonderful drivers on the grid is listening, well done to you, and shout out for yourself, pat on the back, I guess. But we're going to keep on watching this session immediately. Everyone back out onto the circuit. We've now got 15 drivers on track. It's going to be Bent Jabo Konyi, the first man to put us on a lap. He was definitely in a dangerous position in Q1. He's managed to survive by just a few whiskers, but we'll see what he can do as he begins his first proper push lap of Q2.
Yeah, heading towards that first corner. Currently on, no lap time. He got himself through to Q2 barely. So he's going to have to do a good job in this session, in this lap particularly, to get himself through into that top 10. The cut-off at the moment is a 108.783, then it's 5 tenths ahead with a 108.2. So I think realistically, Bench wants to aim for around a 108.0, maybe a 7.9 if he can get it done on this set of tyres. He heads through that first set to 23.794. I believe that's a little bit quicker than what he did in his first session. He's purple according to my screens on this lap, but it doesn't always mean anything when it says that on the map, as he heads through turn 8 in towards turn 9. Then he has turn 10 at him. You're going to brake after the 50-metre board and just throw the car in, keep it to the inside, gear 4. Then get back on the power as you have the DRS on the exit as you fly down in towards this turn 11-12 chicane. Very nice so far for Bench Abercrombie. It's 47.277 in that first and second split as he heads through. 8 to turn 12 now. Bit of a slide as he comes in towards turn 13 shortly. Brake at that curb. Keep the car to the inside. Foot on the floor as you come through. Keep to the inside at turn 14 at Harry Line Dike. Then you can go a little bit wider at the exit as you head up to line with that DRS. Literally no battery left for Benz. It's a 108.060. Very nice, and I don't know if it'll be safe yet, but I think for now we should be finding the top 10.
We'll have to wait and see as we'll watch Jarno Opmeer on his lap coming through the final few corners. One of the Hasses just crossed the line. I believe that was Xander Van Dyken jumping himself ahead of Alfie Butcher. Still, the two Ferraris remain untouchable at the top of the order. Jed Norgrove going to be able to split the Hasses, and there is Jarno Opmeer, the first 1 minute 7.7 of this session. A great time from him as Lucas Blakely comes to the line, not able to trump Jarno Opmeer at the top of the order. Very nice time from the Dutchman. Is Van Pookie, gets within a thousandth of a second of Jarno. Alfie Butcher said he's done the fastest lap of the session, but he is in P2 because he's done the exact same lap time as Jarno Opmeer. Nicholas Longe found himself going into P5. 6th for Jack West, make that 7th because Josh Ado has come across the line as Jake Benham is able to jump ahead of them all. 1 minute 7.712. The Ferraris have fallen. Mercedes are here to play. Tom Manley is the final driver to come across the line, puts himself into P6. A very nice time from him there, and should hopefully see him into the next session. The drivers in the drop zone at the minute: Xander Van Dyken, Jed Norgrove, Will Lewis, and Bench Abercrombie, and then Frederick Rasmussen, who I don't believe set another lap time. That is indeed his banker, so I think he came into the pit lane. Maybe there was an invalidation somewhere along the road, and he is going to have to go once again if he wants to find himself in the final parts of qualifying. But Jake Benham, after struggling in Spain last week, he's coming back with a bang here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, I'll take back what I said about Bench Abercrombie. Originally, I thought that would be fine for a top 10 at this point of the session, but no, it's nowhere near. It's about, nearly just over a 10th off to Tom Prajic, who's on a 107.920. So, yeah, the track has evolved very quickly, and I think if it's evolving that quickly now, I think we'll see some more improvements when we come to the end of the session. So if you're around, I'd say, Nicholas Longo down, you want to get back out. I think if you're in the 7s, I think you're in a decent position, but I think if you're, Nico down, you want to get back out onto a new set of tyres. Freddie, he's got a lot of pressure on him now, because obviously he should be a driver that's easily in the top 10. He should never be starting down in 15th, so he's got a lot of pressure to get himself through to Q3, but from his performances in esports and in league race, pressure doesn't seem to always bother him, so he should do a decent job at that. And I think for the Williams, realistically, I think they will struggle to get through to Q3, so they're just going to try and put the best effort they can in this next lap, and obviously Jed and Xander, hopefully they can get themselves through. But yeah, I think this next session is going to be very close.
How about these full margins? I mean, the top 4 separated by just 300ths of a second. Jake Benham able to clear the likes of Alfie Butcher, Jan Ortmeier and Isvan Pookie, from 2nd down to 4th, separated by just 0.02 of a second. Alfie Butcher's time's actually corrected for some reason to go ahead of Jarno Opmeer, and then Jarno Opmeer jumps ahead. What? Jarno Opmeer's just jumped ahead of Alfie Butcher. So both of them magically in the pit lane have just shedded off 1,000th of a second on their lap. I'm not sure what's happened there.
It's something I've noticed for a while, and when you do retire mid-session, you do lose the 1,000th on your lap time. I've noticed it before, And yeah, it's a bit weird, but I suppose it's what it is. And yeah, big shame,
It
I
won't affect
suppose,
anything.
for Alfie, because he was ahead of Yana, but no, he's back down to where he was in P3. And the other Haas, Sander van Dyken, he's out on track. Currently on a 9.38, so yeah, well, exactly 2/10 behind Alfie, so would like to improve by at least 2/10 to get himself safely through to Q3. But Dan, any predictions for the end of this session?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I think Freddie Rasmussen, I mean, he's got to get his lap time completed. I think he is going to end up going P2 in this session, because I'm going to say Lucas Blakely will come out for another lap, and indeed I can see him on the mini-map now. He is exiting the pit line. I think Lucas Blakely is going to go quickest, then Freddie Rasmussen in second. And I think, I'm not too sure about any surprise exits. Let's talk about, Nathan, the cut-off time, because it is incredibly close in this session. I want to pose the question to everyone in the live chat. What time do you think that cut-off is going to be? What time will just about save you in this session? Nathan, what do you think it's going to be?
Well, I have a feeling that a 7 will be safe, so I'm going to say a 107.800. Bang on.
Okay. Well, that would mean that Nicholas Longe would be eliminated from this session. Isfan Pookie, Lucas Blakely and Tom Manley should all be safe on this time. We'll see if we can read out anyone's replies in the live chat. I believe Red Live 36, he's gone for the same time as you, Nathan, there. As QAVAQ, I can't say that name, says a 0.1. Alessio says a 7.79. So we're seeing those sort of low 1 minute 7.8 to high 0.7. So we'll see if that time is indeed, what we're going to see as the cutoff. Sander van Dyken has just got his lap underway, but I think we should watch last week's race winner Jack West on his lap. Currently in a bit of a tricky position. Currently P9 on a 107.912 for him. If he makes a mistake on this lap, this could well and truly be the end of his qualifying session. We'll have to wait and see as he dances his way now through this first sector in towards this part of the track. It's going to be so tricky for these guys to run side by side, and already at the end of the first sector improving by 3/4 of a tenth. It's a good strong signs for Jack West. Be careful of these curves on the outside of turn numbers 8 and 9. He's taking that very nicely indeed. He's all the track through this middle sector. A little bit of squeam off the exit of turn number 9, but he's going to be able to recover through turn 10 once again. Huge snap of oversteer off the exit through. That's definitely going to lose him a little bit of time. We'll see what it is. He is still improving, but he's lost ever so slightly in that second sector. Continuing along this lap now through the final few corners of turn number 12, 13 and 14. Sander van Dyken is about to come up to the line, puts himself into P7, a 1 minute 7.809, safe for the time being, but a flurry of laps about to be completed. Jack West to the line, a 1 minute 7.782 should hopefully see him into the next session. I believe Ben Shabakonyi has just come across the line. He found an improvement, but it is not enough, and he should be eliminated from this session. Jed Norgrove not finding an improvement on his lap time at the moment. Watch Nicholas Longe currently down in P9 as he finds his way now through the final sector of this lap. We don't actually know if he's improving, so we'll see what the man in P3 in this championship can do. Off the exit of the final corner, opening up the DRS, keeping it tight to the right hand side. He'll come into the pit lane. Is he safe in this session? We'll have to wait and see, as his teammate Tomek Paraj is going to come up towards the line next and is eliminated from this session. Freddie Rasmussen now through the final corner, finding 2/10 of an improvement. This should firmly see him into the next session, as Isfan Pookie goes into third position, because Tom Manley with a 1 minute 7.682 from him. It's 9th place for Freddie Rasmussen. Josh Adowu goes 8th, and Nicholas Longe eliminated from this session, as Will Lewis has come across the line in P12. Ben Jabakoni is not on a lap time, and that is going to be the Frenchman eliminated from this session. I think that is a massive loss in qualifying here, Nathan.
It is. Big shame there for Nicholas Longe. Both the Ferraris out, both the Williams, but I'm quite happy to see Tom Manley and Jake Benham having some great pace. Tom, I think he was about 6th or 7th in the first session. This session he's sitting in first with the 107.6. So I think, the young guns, Tom and Jake, doing a great job, and well, they're looking to set themselves up for a very nice qualifying in Q3. Obviously, Tom, the only one so far to put himself into the 0.6s, and well, it's about just about 3/10, I think, separating first to 15th. So quite a big gap, quite a small gap, I think. And well, anyone could have gone out of the session. Unfortunately, it was the 2 Williams and the 2 Ferraris, along with, I believe, also Jed Norgrove.
We'll see how this affects the complexion of Q3 as we head into it now. Look at how close this session has been Tom Manley just 300th clear of Jake Benham, and then the top 7 separated by less than a tenth of a second. If you said a 1 minute 7.809 would have been safe, it's actually a 13, do apologise there. 1 minute 7.813, that was the time that saved you into the next session. If you said that in the live chat, really well done from you there. I'm seeing some poll predictions in the live chat at the minute. We'll read out some of them in the time being, but Nicholas Longe eliminator, as is Will Lewis, Tomek Parajic, Jed Norgrove, and then Bence Jabokoni. All out of this session, Nathan, we gotta say, the big surprise there, Nicholas Longe.
Yeah, he's sitting third in the championship. He's about 5 points ahead of Otis Lawrence. He's on 78 and Otis on 73. He's 20-ish points back, I think, from Lucas Blake. Then I think about 6 points back from Jordan Otmir. So not good at all for Nicholas and trying to close himself in on the championship. Obviously, both the two ahead of him, Jarno and Lucas, are into Q3, and they're probably drivers that are likely to put themselves in the top 5 in this session. So big shame for Nico, but he's got, he's only one position outside of the top 10. So he has got, an easy chance for him of getting points. But I think for me, it's great to see both of the Alfa Romeos. And it's not, it's not Brendan and Thomas. It's Jack and Istvan. They've done a great job, haven't they, to pull them through these first 2 sessions and now into the final one.
Absolutely. I'm really happy for the Alfa Romeo pairing this evening. We'll see how they get on and the rest of the grid in Q3 after a quick word from our sponsors at Virage.gg. We will see you trackside in just a few moments' time. Welcome back, trackside here in Zandvoort as Q3 is getting underway. Unfortunately, it's looking like a little bit of a ghost town here in the Netherlands. No one has come out on track at the minute, and unfortunately, I'm just talking to myself. Nathan's gone for a drink. We'll hear back from him in just a few moments' time as the session begins. We have to wait and see who is going to be first out in qualifying. As you can see, all 10 drivers are currently listed, and I think now is the perfect time for everyone in the live chat to drop their predictions on who they think is going to be taking this top spot in qualifying and what that pole time will be. It's going to be a very exciting end to this qualifying session. I hope that it is going to be incredibly fun to watch. As I'm seeing Lucas Gasper saying 1 minute 7.534 is going to be pole. Jose Matherin says a 0.49. I'm seeing predictions for Jarno Otmir taking pole position. Risto is saying Fred with a 0.5. Plenty of predictions there. Someone's gone for a 1 minute 6.14. I think that's a very bold prediction there. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it does come true. Nathan, I see you're back. We're getting some action down on the circuit. It is Istvan Pukki, the first man out on track.
Well, for pole, I've seen quite a few predictions. I'm going to say a 107.4. I think it's quite lower time than what other people are suggesting. But yeah, I think a 0.4, maybe like a 0.455. I think that'll be the pole time for today. From who? I don't have a clue. There's that many people who could take it. Yeah, I don't know, but I think obviously the most likely answer will be lots of Jarno, Lucas, and Freddie as well. But you've seen lots of Jack West, Istvan Pukki, Tom Manley, Alfie, and Jake all being really quick. So I think any of them also have that chance to try and take pole tonight.
Absolutely, as I'm just really excited for the session to get underway. Istvan Pukki out on circuit, Alfie Butcher as well. Oh no, it's actually Xander Van Dyken, driver who I think has flown under the radar, getting himself into Q3. It's good to see Xander in this part of qualifying. Jack West also out on circuit. I think the man that everyone wants to watch, Jarno Otmir, out on track. He got himself into Q3 with just one run in Q2. He's definitely got to be one of the drivers you got to put his name in the hat to potentially take pole here.
Yeah, I think it's one of the first ones where I've actually thought, well, anyone can take pole. So I think it'll be quite an interesting qualifying. I think either way, even if many of these drivers can't take part, I think they'll still be fighting for P2, downwards. So I think the grid will be very close, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4 or 5 people within a tenth of a second. So yeah, let us know who you think will get held in chat. But Lucas, I believe he's not one of the first out. Jack West is the first out. He's heading out the final corner to begin his first lap of the session. He's weaving a lot. Oh, has he got a wheel issue maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
He's that's not anything different. Jack, is it?
Yep, we've seen that before. Jack West, he's not a big fan of his wheel, and unfortunately he's going to strike again. He'll be able to come back into the pit lane and get his, hopefully, just reset everything within 7 minutes and then get his qualifying underway as Jarno Opmeer then heads through the first corner now. I'll bring up the lap data just so you can see what his sector times are looking like as he files his way in this first sector into the banking corner of turn number 3. Very fun corner to go through, and there's plenty of different lines you can take through there now in towards this S's section of the first sector. You dance and weave your way through the first part of the circuit. Now into turn number 7, you take with maximum commitment through there. It's purple for Jarno Opmeer. He's the quickest man out on track at the minute, dipping into the curbs of turn number 8 and then in towards turn 9, using all of the circuit possible. A lot of rotation off the exit of turn number 9 there. Really nice to see how Jarno Opmeer, the 2-time F1 Esports champion, utilises the track to his advantage, and we'll see what his lap time is looking like. It's 47.005 for the Dutchman at the end of the second sector, now finding his way in towards sector 3. It's Istvan Pukki to the top of the order for the time being with 1 minute 7.621. Xander Van Dijken just 100th off of his time there. Now Jarno Opmeer off the exit of the final corner. What is it going to be for the Flying Dutchman? It's 1 minute 7.648. He's third for the time being, but it is incredibly close at the top of the order.
Yeah, Josh is also on a great lap. He's come to the line now. Lucas Blakely into third, a little bit ahead of Jarno. Josh takes provisional third as well with a 6.36, just a couple of thousand separated him and Xander Van Dijken. Freddie Rasmussen, 2/10 off, he's on a 107.8 as Alfie Butcher goes into third, just behind Xander on the exact same time again for Alfie Butcher because he says it's second. He's a position below. That was also Jake Benham with a 7.46, a 10th off Jarno Opmeer in P7. Then we have Tom Manley. He's heading through into the final couple of corners. We'll see what Tom Manley can do in that L-Terra. Currently it's a 6-2 on for pole by Istvan Pukki. Xander Van Dijken on the front row as well. What can Tom do? Will it be on the front row? It'll be only P8. But to me, the biggest surprise is Xander Van Dijken in P2.
I mean, just this top 3, it's sort of like a David versus Goliath story at the minute. You've got the unproven drivers of Istvan Pukki, Xander Van Dijken and Alfie Butcher without any F1 Esports experience, showing up the likes of Josh Adowu, Lucas Blakely, Jarno Opmeer, Freddie Rasmussen, these established F1 Esports drivers, and it's great to see that these young future stars of the F1 Esports scene are able to compete at the top level with these established esports names and be able to beat them at the beginning of Q3. Of course, it is still a long way to go in this session. A 1 minute 7.621 is the current time to beat, set by Istvan Pukki. He was the first man also on that lap, so he technically has had the worst track conditions out of anyone, and he's still been able to stick it on provisional pole. But there is still 4.5 minutes left to go in this session, Nathan. Anything can happen.
Well, we say, Jarno Opmeer said in P6. It's not the best qualified position, but that is only about, 20 thousandths-ish off of Istvan Pukki. 6 people separated by 27 thousandths of a second, so that is dramatically close. I said maybe the top 5 separated by a tenth, not just over a quarter of a tenth.
I mean, that is Istvan Pukki leaving the session. I think
that's not good.
Yeah, Istvan's the host here, and he's left the session. I don't know if he's going to be able to get back in time. He's only got just under 4 minutes left to go here. You see the migrating host at the bottom of the screen. Hopefully as well, Nathan, that doesn't cause any issues for the session, because I know that sometimes when the host leaves and it migrates to the host, that can cause some issues.
Yeah, well, I was in the Creator Series lobby last night, and unfortunately, when someone left the session, the host, it crashed the lobby completely. So let's hope it doesn't do the same.
Oh dear, I mean, that would be terrible if that happened, but hopefully we're going to be able to continue along this session. I'm going to have a look in the Discord chat and just see if Istvan is saying anything about why he's left the session, because it could be a plethora of reasons, and whether or not anything is going to happen about it. I'd imagine if there's no issues, we have no reason to restart this lobby. I think Istvan, he needs He needs an invite to the lobby, Nathan. If you have him on your friends list, if you're able to send him one, because he's not able to get back in at the moment. But yeah, unfortunate for Isfan to be essentially eliminated from qualifying here. He's definitely not going to be able to get back in time. And everyone else now, all 9 drivers behind him, going to have the opportunity to jump him.
He won't let me invite.
We don't know who the host is, because only the host can invite. Oh,
Well,
no.
I think it's almost like the second or third person that joined the session. And I know since then we've had people leave the session, so...
It could be
this
anyone
could
at this
be...
point.
Yeah. Oh, well. Surely they'll keep this session going. We've got 2 minutes left to go, but no one's gone out just yet. And yeah, hopefully that hopefully the person can find out their host, so we can get Isfan back into set his final run, because it would be a big shame, wouldn't it, Dan? You know, he's on provisional pole at the moment, a little bit ahead of Xander and Alfie, and well, could all be lost if he doesn't end up getting a second run. And Lucas Bloom says there is desync.
There's desync? Is there anyone even out on circuit at the minute? We're getting to a minute and a half left to go. No one's leaving the garage at all, and they've just spawned on track now. Okay, I've tried to make excuses for this F1 Esports, this F1 23 game, as many times as we can. I think we're getting a lobby restart.
Well, I think
Jack
we'll
West
just
is now
continue.
left. Are we
Luke
continuing?
says, well.
What is
Luke says to continue the laps, but a couple of people have left, and Jack's wheels have disconnected. A very angry Isfan Pookie in the chat, so this isn't ideal at all. And Louis is saying also do your laps, so I presume we'll do the laps and then just see what happens there.
Yeah, I don't think we can redo this session, because we can't actually set it to Q3.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's going to have to be another 18 minutes of qualifying. So I think they'd probably see these laps out and then take the grid from there. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I mean, it wouldn't be a World Online Racing Grand Prix without World Online Restart being apparent. And now Tom Manley's on his lap. I believe he is the first man on a run here. He's purple in the first sector. See what he can do then. He was really strong at the end of Q2. He was topping that session. We'll see if he's able to find his way to pole position in Q3 as the clock is ticking down. Just 10 seconds left to go. This will be the last lap of this session for every one of these drivers. Now Tom Manley in towards Sector 3 for the final time in qualifying, up by almost a tenth and a half as now he heads into the final few corners. Both Alfa Romeo drivers suffering issues in this qualifying session. Now through the final corner at Ari Lundijk, it is Tom Manley off the exit, opening up the DRS and coming up towards the line. What is going to be the benchmark to beat? A 1 minute 7.517 from him there. Lucas Blakely in behind, 1 minute 7.4 to go top of the order for the time being. Jake Benham will be up next to come across the line. Xander Van Dijken's put himself into P3. Here it is then, the Englishman in the Mercedes goes onto the second row of the grid just behind Tom Manley. Now Alfie Butcher off the exit of the final corner, up by just about half a tenth of a second. He'll put himself onto row number 2. One of the Red Bulls up next is going to be Frederick Rasmussen to the line in 9th position at the moment. It's going to be P6 for him there. Jarno Opmeer, the championship leader, the fan favourite this evening, coming towards the line. Can he put himself on pole position? No, he cannot. He gets himself onto row number 2. Josh Zoe is the last man to come across the line. We're not going to be able to see what he's set. He's gone P5. It is going to be Lucas Blakely on pole position here. The only man to set a 1 minute 7.4. He goes just about a quarter of a tenth clear of Tom Manley at the top of the order. Those guys should be starting P1 and P2.
Yeah, and what a shame for Isfan Pookie. Down to 9th position. We'll be starting from 9th. But for me, I'd say the best up on the board there isn't the quickest one. It's Tom Manley. Second on the grid. He's not normally someone you'd say, he's going to go and take pole. But he's 28 thousandths behind Lucas Blakely, who's been rapid this whole game. So to be that close behind Lucas is something. So, yeah, well done to Tom Manley. He's got Jarno Opmeer just in behind. So, yeah, he's got 2 champions in front and behind. That could be quite interesting for Tom, couldn't it indeed?
And once again, an incredibly close qualifying. The top 7 separated by less than a tenth of a second. And we didn't even have all the drivers set laps. Jack West, unfortunately, not been able to set a lap time in that qualifying session due to his wheel issues. And then Isfan Pookie having whatever problems he suffered there. I mean, that's heartbreaking. It's really cruel for both of the Alfa Romeo drivers to have problems that really just it just hinders them from doing a lap time at all. And I think both of them, they had incredible pace, and we could have seen potentially one of them starting on pole, maybe inside that top 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's a big shame, and I think they've got some good pace. So hopefully for them, they can try and work their way through the grid and get a few positions here and there, and put themselves into a nice position. As everyone's seen in the session, we do have a restart in this session, and I don't know if we have Fabrizio Donoso with us because he was meant to join, but I'm not quite sure. If so, he has got a qualifying man, so he'll start at the back along with Otis and Cepas, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
And just to confirm, we are going to do what the grid has been set as, so we're not going to be redoing any qualifying. What you've seen here is going to be the results that we are starting with. It is unfortunately unfair on the likes of Istvan Pukki and Jack West, but I think they understand that, you know, these issues, they happen, and if they've got the pace, they're going to be able to fight in the race. You know, it's not all over now. Just fingers crossed. You know, fingers crossed we don't have any issues come race time. But that, Nathan, gives us plenty of opportunity to talk about this qualifying session. Gotta say, the big surprise there, I would say, Nicolas Longuet eliminated in Q2. We're going to go back to that one. How is he going to fight in this race? I mean, he's outside the top 10 and starting in 11th. If this was F1 2020 or 21, that would be the best position to be in because you get the free choice of tyre. But now with everyone being flexible on the strategy, he's in a bad spot.
Yeah, I think he's only one position outside the top 10, so he can easily get himself a few points. But when you're fighting for a championship, you don't want to be getting 2 or 3 points. You want to be, situating yourself in the top 4, top 5. So there's a lot of work for him to do. Maybe he tries to do a different strategy, whether that's maybe going on to a softer competitor tyre, so starting on the soft or maybe the mediums, trying to power through, and then he can switch to a set of hards or another tyre when it comes to the pit stop phase around halfway through the race. And I think another big surprise on my end was probably Danny Moreno being out in Q1. I think that was a very big surprise. Yes, we haven't seen him much in league racing, so it could be an example of why he's not too quick just yet. But it is quite a shame to see him being out and starting from 16th, which, we will have a 20-driver grid because Fabrizio Donoso is in the session.
Yep, Fabrizio Donoso in the session. That is very good to see in the Aston Martin. I'm in an Instagram group chat with Danny Moreno, and unfortunately he was saying in there that he's having some lag issues, and he lost a lot of time in that first sector as well. So, that is just the I guess what he's rolled, and unfortunately it's not worked out for him. If he's got the pace, he'll be able to make it up in the race, but Zandvoort, Nathan, notoriously difficult to overtake on. And this race, I think, is going to get a little bit interesting, and we just got to hope and pray that the driving standards are kept clean today.
Yeah, I think the race will be quite interesting. It's a nice track. I think the main position spots we'll see are probably near the top, I think, because when we have the DRS training, it's going to be difficult for people to make moves. I think the most likely time where we'll see the moves made is probably on that one, and then after that when we see the pit stops happen, and then probably at the end of the race. So I think when it gets to the point where we're settling into the stints, the first and second stints, I think the race will probably die down a little bit. People just, comfortable in the positions they are, just choosing that DRS to pull themselves along and make sure everything's in check, and then the pit stops happen. That's where it gets quite crazy. And then obviously we'll also see what happens when it comes to people pitting in different laps. Obviously on this game, we have lots of different strategies. Everyone on the last game used to pit on the same lap, maybe one lap later, but now we have people pitting 3, 4, 5, 6 laps later and coming back through to take victory or to, get past the people who pitted earlier. So I think we'll see what happens with that. I think the undercut will be a lot stronger today just because of the nature of the track. But yeah, anything can happen. And I suppose safety cars could come into the mix. People making big mistakes could also hinder some people and also help others. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. I don't think we got rain because it says on the lobby screen that it's it has the sun symbol, so I think that means it's dry. But that could also mean maybe it gets wet later on, but I'm not quite sure just yet. So we'll see what happens with that.
We had last week in Spain, it started sunny, and we saw in the lobby that there was the sun symbol, and I thought it was going to be dry for a lot of the race, and then about like 20 laps in or something, it just started clattering it down with rain, and it got insanely wet, insanely quick. And so yeah, it could be possible in this session. I did have a quick peek when we loaded in, of course, before we left the session, and it was a bit cloudy, but it was very bright along the circuit, so I think it is likely going to be dry in this race, and I think that is for the best. given how difficult this circuit is in the dry, especially with 19 other drivers on the same piece of tarmac fighting for position. It is very difficult to manage your way around this circuit. Of course, in any other tier, I'd imagine it'd be carnage, but these F1 Esports drivers, they're incredibly experienced, incredibly talented, and hopefully they're going to be able to put on a clean show for us this evening. We've got about 2.2 thousand viewers in the live chat. Thank you everyone for joining in this stream. Make sure if you haven't already to like and subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. And now is a great time to interact with everyone because you've not got the time pressure of the session starting on us. So everyone in the live chat watching at the minute, please let us know your podium predictions heading into this race. Nathan, who are you going for to get in the top 3?
I'm going to say Tom Manley is in the top 3. I don't actually know where anyone's going to be. I'm just going to say top 3. I think Tom Manley, Lucas Blakely, and who will I go with? I'm going to go, you know what, Xander Van Dijken.
Oh, Xander Van Dijken. I like that prediction, Xander being in the podium positions. I'm going to go for my top 3. Jan Ortman to win, Lucas Blakely second, then Jake Benham is going to get himself in third. It's 3 very popular names, 3 very experienced drivers. We'll see if they are able to get themselves in a decent position. We'll read out some of the predictions in the live chat as Bertie Ryland is saying Tom Manley, Lucas Yano. That is similar to what you said, Nathan. Game Time says Benham, Opmeer and Longay. Messerjack says Blakely, Opmeer, Benham. That's the same as my prediction. And then AFC Razor says Blakely, Yano, Benham. That's the same as mine, just swapped over. Lucas, Yano, Tom says James. And then SMD CUO Live says Lucas, Alfie, Freddie, a name that I've not actually seen too much of in the predictions so far this evening. So we'll have to wait and see if he works out. I think he's starting in a pretty low down position relative to the top 10. We'll be starting this race in 8th position. Nathan, that is a very difficult spot to come up from.
It is. I think for Freddie, I think it'd be an option to get yourself onto the podium, but I think from where he is on the grid, it's going to be difficult. And yeah, well, we'll just see what happens. He's a very quick driver, so I think if he's want to do it from there, him and Longay are probably the 2 that probably could. That started down the bottom either way. Well, not in the bottom, but you know, out of an ideal position to win anyway.
Yeah, I want a poll in the live chat. I know you can do that at the top where you pin it to the top with the top 3 drivers in qualifying and which of them is going to win this race. And then, of course, the other comment in the bottom. It would either be Lucas, Tom or Yano. And I'm interested to see where everyone stands on that. I know that everyone loves Yano and just votes for him anyways, even if he's in a tough place to win. But I know that a lot of guys like to vote for Lucas Blakely as well. Of course, that is a very strong prediction for him to be at the top of the order come the end of the race. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, around a circuit like Zandvoort, anything really can happen. And I'm happy to say, Nathan, I see the countdown at the top of my screen. We're about to get ready for 36 laps of this Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, and obviously, normally a lot of tracks have about 25, 26 laps, but obviously because it's a bit of a shorter track, yes, we do see more laps, so 36 laps of hopefully some great racing and some great battling from many drivers on the grid. And I think the first lap we'll see a little bit of carnage. I think it's definitely expected down towards that first corner. It's not the longest run, it's not the shortest run down to turn 1. So I think we'll see some interesting moves there. And I can also come and see how the drivers tackle that first sector heading up towards turn 6. Turn 3 onwards, I think that's going to be quite good for some great battling on that first lap.
Yeah, we know that, I think turn number 1, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, it might be ever so slightly downhill, so, that could possibly lead to a lot of lockups. I know in real F1, plenty of drivers were locking up at turn number 1. Of course, they were some of them in very tricky conditions. I'm wondering if anyone's going to go a little bit too deep on the brakes this evening and then put themselves in a precarious position heading into that first corner. Everyone, of course, going to bunch up in towards turn number 1. We just got to hope, Nathan, that they keep it clean through there as we're loading into the session. We're just waiting on Will Lewis to get into the lobby, and then I can bring us, as we load into the session, I'll bring us back over to the game scene.
Yes, and well, fortunately, we don't get the countdown at the top of the screen, so we have to kind of just wait for it to happen, and most of the time be caught off guard when the race is about to begin. So hopefully, then it's not too far away, but you can see there all the people in the crowd. Under on top of the scenes, the Paddock Club sign, getting ready to watch some great racing. You can see normally I remember, was it the last game where you used to see all the engineers T-posing outside the garage?
Yes.
Or was it this game?
I remember. That was so weird that the engineers would be... And even if it was raining, it was more funny to see that them just standing out in a T-shirt and shorts, just T-posing, trying to feel for the rain or something, and it was incredibly funny to see. It's a shame that we don't have that anymore in this F1 23 game. Of all the glitches to fix, why do you have to fix the funny ones? But yeah, heading into this race, 36 laps of this Dutch Grand Prix. I'm wondering what the strategies are going to be like. You can see everyone on track at the minute, and we are about to get ready to head into this race. Really looking forward to this one here, as here we are now, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Zandvoort. Lucas Blakely from pole, Tom Manley in second, and we are underway. Patrick Sipos, unfortunately, jumping the start, heading down in towards turn at number 1. It's Lucas Blakely off like a shot. Tom Manley coming across Jarno Opmeer, who's going to go around the outside at turn number 1 of Tarzan Bot. Can he get the run along the outside? And indeed he can, into turn 2 and 3. Jarno Opmeer ahead of Tom Manley, who is on the medium tyres. The pair of them will bring up the tyres. You can see them on the left hand side, but it is at the end of the first sector. Lucas Blakely leading from Jarno Opmeer's, swapping positions further back behind. Freddie Rasmussen doing battle with Isvan Pukki. Jarno Opmeer behind Lucas Blakely, who's got Tom Manley in tow as well. Josh Zoe in 4th. Everyone else down below. Alfie Butcher, Jake Benham, Xander Van Dyken on the set of the hards. There's a varying amount of strategies in this grid, and it's exciting to see.
It is. We've got Isvan Pukki in a little battle there with Frederick Rasmussen down at turn 10. Also Jack West ahead. Tom Praj just there. They are ghosting inside of each other, so that would have obviously been an issue there between those two. Alfie Butcher having a little battle there with Jake Benham in towards this chicane. Obviously the two at the front of the hard runners, obviously everyone ahead is on the medium tyre, so expect those ahead of Jake to be quicker. Will Lewis has had an instant. He's down at the chicane, dropped down to 19th position. Obviously Patrick Sipos now into 19th, obviously with that drive through penalty, and also Ben Shabakoni on the soft, so not making much of an impression on that first lap still, I think, where he qualified.
Has he got a good run off the exit at the final corner as one of the Aston Martins coming to the pit lane? That's Otis Lawrence, I think, with some damages. Ben Shabakoni's going to go to the inside of Jed Norgrove and towards turn at number 1. Jack West and Nicholas Longe still scrapping it out for P10 in this race. It looks like Jack West has just got the better of Nico at this point in time. Given that he's on the medium tyres, he's going to look to try and get it as high as he can in the grid order as possible, and then try and scrap it out with the likes of Josh Azowu, Tom Manley, Jan Otmir later on in the Grand Prix. Freddie Rasmussen on the back of Xander Van Dyken, but he just can't find a way through at this point in time. So at the end of the in the middle of the second lap, Lucas is gonna done a great job of leading this Grand Prix. Jan Otmir, fantastic overtake in turn number 1, getting ahead of Tom Manley, and who remains in 3rd. Josh Adowu in 4th, but crucially, Nathan, these guys not dropping the hard runners. Jake Benham's found his way up into 5th, up from 6th on the grid, and now he's on the tail, on the heels of Josh Adowu here.
Yeah, this could be very good for the hard runners if they can keep sitting this consistently behind the medium runners. When it comes to the the phase of the pit stops, the medium runners will probably go to a set of harder tyres, and the people on the hards can go to a set of mediums mainly. So yeah, this could be very good for these guys on the hard tyres. And obviously, as we get through the session, as we've got two people going side by side, that's Bench Shabakoni and Tom Prajic for P12 and 13. Bench in towards P12 and a little bit further back, we've got Donoso and Johnny Tillman up fighting for P16 and 17. But as I was saying, obviously, as we get through the race, obviously the cars become lighter because of less fuel. That will help the tyres that are softer. So yeah, at the moment it seems like the hard medium or hard soft could be the way to go, but obviously we'll see how everything pans out as we continue through the race. Jack West wants to get ahead of his teammate. Isvan Pukki, this is the battle for P9 and P10. Obviously Otis Lawrence is out of the session, but that is in the pit lane. So big shame there for Otis, and only made 3 laps after his I believe 2 race bans in a row and also a qualifying ban. So yeah, not what Otis would have wanted at all, is it?
He's had a tough time in league racing, has Otis Lawrence, and unfortunately he's out of this Grand Prix on lap number 3, where the DRS has now been enabled. We'll see drivers within a second of the car in front utilise that little flap at the rear wing to get that extra drag reduction, and then that of course will increase your top speed down the 2 straights, so you're able to utilise it. One of course being in towards turn number 1, where most of the drivers are entering right now. Jack West on the set of the medium tyres, not been able to climb up the order really at all in this Grand Prix. In fact, he's got Nicholas Longe challenging in towards turn number 1. Can the Frenchman go all the way around the outside? He'll have to try and look for a switchback manoeuvre on last week's race winners. Will Lewis in the pit lane retires from this Grand Prix. Nicholas Longe can't quite find a move now on lap number 4.
Yeah, trying to get through but can't do so. And the issue that Nicholas has is he's got Bench Shabakoni on the softs right behind. So He needs to get through on Jack as soon as he can, otherwise he's going to have the Williams right behind him, and Will Lewis is out of the session. Patrick's sitting 25 seconds back. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in the pit lane too, retires, he heads into the pit lane now. So we'll see what he does. Looking a little bit further up, you can see Jarno Opmeer sitting about 7 tenths away from Lucas Blakely, and Tom and Josh separating themselves about 2 or 3 tenths away from each other. So very good start for those two. And obviously Jake Benham is still within 4 tenths of Josh on those hard compounded tyres. So the hards working very well at the start of this race. We come through now. Obviously the two Hasses sitting together, Alfie Butcher in 6th and Xander Van Ducken in 7th. And Freddie Rasmussen hasn't had much of an improvement, hasn't really moved anywhere so far after that qualifying session, so not very good for him at all. I would have expected him to at least get through on the Hasses to put himself into that battle with Jake, and obviously those 4 medium tyres ahead. As you can see, obviously everyone trying to break out the Citroën as we come out down towards turn 1. I think we have a couple of people side by side. Yes, we do. It is it's Donoso and Jed Norgrove side by side in towards turn 1, and Fabrizio is one who's moving through the field. I think he was down in 20th at the start. He's now in 14th.
Yeah, he's on a set of the medium, so of course he's got a lot more grip than these hard runners, but that should fall away very soon. We're on lap number 5 of 36. Still a very long way to go in this Grand Prix, but Lucas Blakely's doing a great job of ever so slightly every single lap just pull away from Jarno Opmeer. I think the DRS has allowed for the Dutchman to close up ever so slightly on this lap, but Jarno, he's definitely going to be looking in his mirrors at the minute at Tom Manley in behind, who in towards turn number 1 didn't try and go for the move, is now in towards turn number 8 and 9. Bench Abercrombie goes for the move in a very unorthodox position on Nicholas Longuet, who's now going to lose touch with the top 10. Making that move has essentially created a big rift in between the rest of the field, and if Bench can't catch that up, then all these guys behind are going to be completely screwed for the rest of the race.
Yeah, Nicholas went a little bit obscurely coming out of turn 8 and nearly ended up going down on those horrible orange and yellow curbs. Luckily, he did avoid them and didn't have to worry about punching himself off before he got to turn 9. As now we've got Donoso on the back of the other Ferrari of Paragic, heading down towards turn 1. Not enough top speed though there for Donoso to put himself into P13 and split those two Ferraris. A bit of a tap there from Donoso on the back of Tom Paragic, just letting him know he's right behind, and he will. But looking to get himself an overtake very soon. You can see now Brancho Okonya about 6 tenths back from Jack West, so that advantage does not seem to be there, and that's someone off track. That is Sipos down at turn 9, so he's had a bit of a mistake, and I think he has got caught out by those horrible curbs on the exit of turn 8.
It's been a dastardly day for Patrick Sipos, 50 seconds off the back of everyone else. It's very noble of him to still be racing in this Grand Prix, but it's got a long way to go. Safety cars are possible. We'll just have to wait and see as this race progresses. The entire field of 17 drivers, barring Patrick Sipos, are within DRS of each other, so it is still a very tight race, and one penalty can drop you way down the order. As Tom Manley, once again, he's closing to the back of Jarno Opmeer, but down the straights you've seen him pull out of the slipstream way too early, because I don't think he wants to go for these moves at this point. As now Patrick Sipos once again retiring. It's another driver retiring in the pit lane. It's only lap number 6 of this Grand Prix. We've already had 3 drivers out, and you can see once again Tom Manley, yeah, he's pulling out the slipstream, maybe trying to cool the engine ever so slightly, but I think that is telling that he doesn't want to go for the move on Jarno Opmeer. He wants to save his resources as much as possible, as Nicholas Longuet fights it out, gets back by on Bench Abercrombie. He's now out of that 1 second window of DRS. We just have to wait and see as this race progresses, but Tom Manley, I think he's got Jarno's number.
Yeah, and a very nice move as well from Danny Moreno around the outside, Jed Norgrove into turn 1, and now I can see Nicholas Longuet just about a second back from Jack West. He needs to get himself back into that 1 second gap before they get to the exit of turn 10, so we can get himself a dose of DRS down towards that chicane. And now we can see Bench Abercrombie under a lot of pressure from Tom Paragic, and it seems now those soft tyres are starting to lose that advantage they had beforehand. Lap 2 or 3 it was Bench getting ahead of both the Ferraris, and now it's both of the Ferraris looking to get back ahead of Abercrombie as we head down towards the chicane turn 11 and 12. Tom Paragic about 2 tenths back, and then we have Donoso about 2.5, 3 tenths back as well from the Ferrari. So a lot of people faster than others. It seems that Tomek's faster than Bentz, Fabrizio's faster than Tomek, and Danny's faster than Donoso. So yeah, a lot of people behind, all looking to get themselves through very screwily on the exit of turn 14, turn 13, 4 for Fabrizio Donoso, but not enough top speed there from Danny Moreno to get himself through, as that is Paragic ahead of Bench Abercrombie into turn 1.
front of the order. They're getting very close at the minute. Jan Ortmir has been able to track down Lucas Blakely. Maybe a mistake from the Scotsman at some point along the last lap. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to affect him, but they're all concertinaing up in the first sector. Arguably the place you'd least want to be close to your rivals in this weaving first part of the lap. Jake Benham, I think, has now got the advantage in terms of the tyres on Josh Adowu, and he's letting the Welshman know that he's there, because now in towards turn number 9 and 10, he's right on the bumper of that Red Bull, which has dominated so many times around this Zandvoort circuit in real F1, but he's struggling to make gains in this Grand Prix. Is now off the exit of turn number 10. Jake Benham, of course, in the DRS train, not going to be able to close that gap enough to go up the inside. However, he knows that he is quicker than everyone else around him at the moment, and I think, Nathan, Jake Benham, he might be the quickest man out on circuit.
He looks really quick. He's just trying to get himself ahead of Josh. He's using a bit of that ERS battery on the exit at turn 14. He's about 10th back. Surely this will be moving towards turn 1 from Jake Benham. He's gaining, but actually he's not gaining enough, is he? As you can see, Josh there defensively inside, actually round the outside for Jake Benham into that first corner. Can he hang it round the outside? It's going to be close. He gets pushed onto the curb. That's going to be close. So no, Josh just about keeps that position of P4. You can also see Tom Manley very close to the back of Jan Ortmir. But the issue for Jake is this is allowing Alfie Butcher and Zan van Dijken and like so Freddie and Isvan all close in, and anyone could be making moves. You can see Jake's so much quicker than Josh.
Oh my word, I mean, that was a heart and mouth moment off the exit of turn number 1. Jake Benham right on the curbs now in towards turn number 8 and 9. He's so close to the rear of Josh Adowu, who's getting impatient to the back of the Red Bull, and this is when you need to calm down, take a step back for a moment, recuperate, and then go for it on the next lap. Jake Benham, I can tell he's sort of getting a little bit hot in the cockpit. He's going later on the brakes, and that's sacrificing his exits ever so slightly. It's so difficult to overtake in these DRS territories, in this DRS train, and so you just have to have the patience that the other driver ahead, his tyres will fall off, and you'll be able to make the move. But now in towards turn number 13 and 14, once again on lap number 9, will he be able to this time go around the outside and make the move stick? We'll have to wait and see as they head up towards turn number 1. Tom Manley once again pulling out the slipstream of Jan Ortmir up ahead. Jake Benham closing to the rear of Josh Adowu, but is not able to make the move stick this time by, and I think his opportunity might be foregone. Yeah,
that was a great opportunity there from Jake, but this time around couldn't get anything to work this time into that first corner. He's about 3/10 back, so I think the main thing for Jake is keep very close behind in towards that chicane, that you can have a good run out of turn 13 and 14, obviously with the DRS and EROS being used early on that bounce corner, and then down to turn 1, some great speed, very close, but yeah, not close enough just yet. He's got to find the right time to execute it, and just try not to push too much so he doesn't use all that tyre and get himself some tyre degradation, because that would not be ideal at all on these hard compounded tyres. Alfie Butcher sitting within 3/10 of Jake Benham, as well as Xander van Dijken sitting right behind us. That's Jack West. Had an incident down at turn 10. He's off the circuit. He's got to come back out in the field around P14, P15. Also nearly making contact with Jed Norgrove as they come through out of that corner down in towards this chicane. And now Prajdic about a second back from Nico, and Nico's 1.1 seconds back from his son Pookie. Now this is not ideal at all for the Ferraris.
No, and Nicolas Longa essentially in a world of his own at the moment, and in the DRS train where it's so hard to close up to your rivals, it is going to be a challenge for these guys to get back within that 1 second window of the top 9 in this pack. Is now in towards turn number 1. Once again, Jack West going to speed in the pit lane. That's telltale signs that he is out of this Grand Prix, and unfortunately Jack West, winner from last week, has not been able to repeat his fortunes. He is out of this Grand Prix on lap number 11. That makes it 4 drivers now eliminated from contention. Jack West, Patrick Sipoff, Will Lewis and Otis Lawrence all retiring in the Grand Prix, and we're just hoping that everyone else is able to keep it clean for the rest of the race, and we can see at least like 15 drivers complete this Grand Prix. But I think with it being such a long race, that's wishful thinking.
It is. Prajdic has an incident. He's down at turn 9. He's down under pressure from Joni Tormala. That's a big shame there for Prajdic. Was running the top 10-ish, I think, and now then into P15, and well, hopefully we don't see another retirement here, because obviously he'll be quite annoyed with that, losing so many positions. And now Denny Moreno is into the top 11. Great job from him in this race, and he's working himself very close to the DRS of Nicolas Longa, who now has got himself back into the 1 second of his son Pookie. So great job there from Nicolas to put himself within a second, a little bit further up. I don't think there's any moves going on, but still Jake and Alfie very close to the back of Josh, and but still can't make a move, and that's the issue ever on this track. It's so difficult to get a move, even if you're on better tyres.
Just wondering when the medium runners are going to decide to pit. It's only lap number 12 of 36. We're approaching 1/3 of this race being completed, and I don't think they're going to think about the pit stops for at least another 5 or 6 laps or something. You know, you want to do around about half, maybe a little bit under half of the race on a set of the mediums, and then go onto the hards towards the end, so you utilize that longevity as much as you can. We'll have to wait and see when they decide to come into the box, because it's not going to be too long until we're at the halfway point of the Grand Prix. The hards will be much quicker than the mediums very soon. I think that might actually already be the case, but given the difficulty of overtaking around this circuit, it is just so hard for the likes of Jake Benham, Alfie Butcher and Xander Van Dyke to really capitalize on being on this longer lasting hard tyre, where they have the pace over their rivals at the minute, but it's just impossible to get on by as they approach lap number 13 of 36. We have now completed 1/3 of this Grand Prix, still 2/3 to go. It's a long way left in this race as Jarno Opmeer closes towards turn number 1, doesn't go for the move. That's Ben Chabaconyi into the pit lane, pitting on lap number 12 to take off a set of the softs.
Yeah, I think the thing that'll help the likes of Jake and obviously those on the hard tyres all the way down to Jed Norgrove is the fact of when these top 4 pit, which shouldn't be too far away, maybe about 5 or 6 laps away, they'll obviously have a little bit more time to run on those hards to try and bridge a bit of a gap for when they pit. So I think at the moment they're in a good position. It's not the most ideal, but if they can execute it once those medium guys pit and they can just try and pull more pace and use all that tyre usage up for when they pit, I think they'll be in a good position when it comes to their pit stop. So we'll see how it ends up, because obviously I think it's more than likely we'll see the likes of Lucas, Sean, Tom and Josh going to hard. I don't think they'll stretch out to soft, surely not, because that means they'd have to do about 25-ish laps, which I don't think they'll bother doing, because that is a long stint, isn't it, on even hards, never mind mediums.
I mean, these guys have got a much better grasp of the strategy than us, so I think we just got to go with what they're saying and assume that it's right. As on lap number 14 of this Grand Prix, I'm wondering, it is getting to around about the time where these guys should think about their pit stops. Lucas, Jarno, Tom and Josh, these tyres are not going to last forever. It's only a matter of time until Jake Benham, Alfie Butcher and Xander Van Dyke, and their gap, the advantage they have is just so powerful that they're able to overtake wherever they want, even without the DRS. So we'll have to wait and see once they come into the pit lane. If you are enjoying this stream, we're nearing on 3,000 live viewers at the minute. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. We are closing in on 15,000 subscribers. It'll be a massive milestone to hit, and you could be a part of that. As now I'm looking over in the live chat, we can actually see we've just peaked at 3,000 viewers. Welcome everyone in the stream. Hope you are enjoying so far. Lucas Blakely is leading on lap number 14 of 36, where we're nearing the halfway point here. Jake Benham is on the back of Josh Adowu, utilizing the quicker hard tyres at this point of the Grand Prix. And Nathan, Josh has slipped off the back of the top 3, and I'm wondering, is he beginning to crack on these tyres?
Yeah, I think he surely made a bit of a mistake coming out of turn 9, because Jake was literally looking for a move up the inside in towards turn 10. He was about 10.5 back, so maybe Josh has made a mistake because he's still 6/10 back now. Is this going to be time for Jet to get through? I don't think it will, because look, he's losing time. Josh, and I think that's Tom Manley into the pit lane. So the medium runner's going in very early. So that's they're getting very close to the back of Lucas Blakely, but not going to make the overtake, because he would rather have that DRS. And now Jake Benham needs to be quick. He needs to get himself back into the DRS of Jarno Opmeer. The gap's about 1.1 seconds, so surely by the end of this first sector he can get himself back within that 1 second and put himself into a good position to try and fight for this top 1 position in this race so far, with Alfie Butcher and Xander Van Dyke and Freddie following him very nicely behind us now. Yeah, Josh and Tom come out 14th and 15th position.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they how they make up ground on this set of the hard compounded tyres. We'll see if Jake Benham is able to close that gap to Jarno Opmeer and Lucas Blakely ahead of him. He's within that 1 second window that he needs to get DRS this time by, heading in towards turn number 11. But he is not going to be able to close up to these guys enough to make an overtake. And I'm wondering now, is Lucas and Jarno, are they going to start to think about their pit stop this time by? Because we know how powerful the undercut is on this F1 23 game. And of course, being in the clear air that Tom Manley and Josh Adowu has, that's very appealing to you if you are the likes of Lucas and Jarno. Indeed, they will come into the pit lane at the end of lap number 15. Jarno sells a dummy. He stays out for another lap here. Lucas into the pit lane on a set of the hards. Jarno's decided to go longer. Mind games at play here in Zandvoort.
Yep, a Mercedes 1-2 with Jarno and Jake, and it's at the moment Haas 3-4 with Alfie and Xander. So, yeah, there we are. So, Jarno is, well, Jake, sorry, he's within a second of his teammate Jarno up, about 8 tenths between the two. And I don't think it'll be too long before Jarno goes into the pit. But we know Jarno, he always goes for an overcut. Every time he has a chance, he'll always go later than the others. So, it's not a surprise to see him staying out longer than all these other medium runners. And also, Donoso, he's 4 tenths back off Jed Norgrove. He's had a very decent stint on those medium tyres, up already into the points position. Obviously, we'll lose a few when he decides to go into the pits. But he's obviously in this train of Jed Norgrove. 3.7 seconds AR to Nicholas Longage. Jed all the way down to Yanni Tumler, all caught up in this train and not really making any moves at all in this race, are they?
No, as I'm looking at Lucas, Tom and Josh, Lucas has been able to cover the undercut and he's stayed in the net lead of this Grand Prix. They are catching a rate of knots. It's been about 2 seconds on this last lap alone to the back of Joni Tormala. So it's only a matter of time until they are once again leading this Grand Prix and caught back up to the pack. Jarno Opmeer going to stay out another lap here. He will lead this Grand Prix a little bit longer here. He knows, I think, that Jake Benham, he knows he's not going to go for the move and try and put pressure on him because, of course, these guys, F1 Esports teammates, is now Jed and Danny coming into the pit lane to take off their hard compound tyres. That's a very early stop for those guys, but when they're so far down the order, what really do they have to lose? Go for the undercut, try and make up some track position, get to the end and just hold your ground. But at the front of the order, Jarno is still leading as we approach halfway point.
Yeah, and Jarno Martin says in the chat, Jarno might go for the soft, so we'll see what he does then. Well, we say that, he'll probably go in and pit this lap, but yeah, if he stays there any longer, maybe he does go and try and get that soft tyre compound on near the end. Could be quite interesting to see if it'll work or not, as we can see. Tom Manley now, 8 seconds behind his teammate, Yanni Tormer, so he's gained, what, 3 seconds in the past, I think, 1.5, 2 laps. So, yeah, those new hard tyres very quick, and yeah, he's put himself, what, 4 tenths ahead of Lucas Blakely. Lucas is ahead of Josh. And obviously Jed and Danny a little bit back there, about 7 seconds back off those guys.
We'll see then if Jarno Opmeer is going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. He's now out of the final corner on lap number 17. Is he finally going to come into the pit lane? Indeed, he will. Jarno Opmeer going to box here on lap number 17. That will unleash Jake Benham at the front of the order, leading this Grand Prix on his set of the hards. Where will Jarno Opmeer emerge in regards to the rest of the grid? I didn't even notice Tom Manley was able to get by on Lucas Blakely. He is now your new net race leader in this Dutch Grand Prix with the fastest lap to speak as well. As now in towards turn number 1, Jarno Opmeer just exiting the pit lane now. It is going to be P4 for the Dutchman, but net P4 for the Dutchman, but crucially, Nathan, he is going to have 2 3-lap fresher tyres than the rest of the drivers ahead of him, and he's going to have a massive advantage later on in the Grand Prix.
He definitely will. For now, he's going to have to just try and take these touch with his first lap. Obviously, we know on the hards, very hard to warm up. So obviously, give him a few quarters by the time he gets, I think, to around turns 10, turns 11. He should have got them very warmed up and ready to start closing on that pack. He's 2 seconds away from Josh Eder at the moment. That is, within a lap or two, I think he'll be within a second. And obviously, Rasmussen as well, pitting onto a set of medium tyres. He's 2 seconds back from Jarno Opmeer. And obviously, still, as we talked about before, Jed and Danny also pitting onto a set of medium tyres, obviously very early compared to some others, but we could have a possible fight for lead. Alfie Butcher looking, no, he goes into the pits instead. So a bit of a doing there, into the pit lane he goes, his teammate stays out, so Jake Benham takes the lead, Zan Van Dijk in second, and this one, Peak, who's in 9th at 1 minute, had an issue in the qualifying. He's now back into the podium positions, but obviously will most likely lose that. After he makes a pit stop, we'll see shortly where Alfie Butcher comes out compared to the others.
Good to see that Istvan Pukki is still trucking along in this Grand Prix. If it was me in his position, where pole position could have been on the cards and then I had some sort of issue that completely ruined my qualifying, I'd have rage quit on the spot. As now Danny Moreno, the fastest man out on circuit with the fastest lap. We are watching Istvan Pukki at the minute running in 3rd, but he is losing a little bit of time to the 2 leaders up ahead of him. Alfie Butcher has come out of the pit lane right behind Jarno Opmeer. It's only a 1-lap undercut that Alfie has, that Jarno has had there, but now within a second of the Dutchman on the much quicker, fresh, medium tyres. And now I'm just thinking, surely Jake Benham, when he comes into the pit lane, he'll be right behind his teammate, and I think he'll be much quicker, and he'll be the guy, I think, to lead them up into the top 3.
Could be, and Alfie's doing a great job. He's just outside that 1 second to Jarno. Jarno's still about 1.9 seconds back off of the likes of Tom down to Josh. Hopefully, maybe a dose of DRS for Alfie soon as we come through out to turn 12. Fredrik Rasmussen just inside of a second of Alfie Butcher. Zan Van Dijk and heads into the pit lane now off of his 19-lap old hard. He'll head onto a set of mediums. As we still have now Jake, Istvan, Nicholas, Tomek, Fabrizio and Yannis Ulmer all staying out on their tyres still, as everyone else, 7th then, has come into pit lane. Fredrik Rasmussen takes the fastest lap briefly off of Jarno Opmeer, and Xander will come out in around P13. behind Freddie, just ahead of Ben Sabakonyi.
And Lucas Blakely once again retakes the net race lead of this Grand Prix. Tom Manley didn't really put up any defence heading in towards turn number 1. It's only lap number 20 of 36. There's still a lot of time to go left in this Grand Prix. You don't want to be fighting for position now when later on in the race you've got the likes of Alfie Butcher, Jake Benham, Jan Ortmir all being threats to you with fresher tyres. It is smart for Tom Manley not to fight that one out too hard. Jan Ortmir, he is closing to that 1 second window of Josh Adobu, just 1.1 seconds off the back of him. Alfie Butcher on his mediums, they should be heated up now. He's not really gained on the back of the Dutchman here, so I'm not too sure what's really happening with him. And now Freddie Rasmussen, who's been able to undercut Alfie Butcher, is right on his tail. So Freddie, I think he's made a very smart move with the strategy. Jake Benham, Istvan Pukki, Nicholas Longuet, it looks like they're all staying out for at least one other run. Fabrizio Donoso doing 20 laps on his set of the medium tyres finally is going to box at the end of this lap, as now, as we can see, I think one of the McLarens going for a move. That is Danny Moreno on Ben Sabakonyi, I believe that is. Now they're all fighting in towards turn number 1. Jed Norgrove at the inside of Sabakonyi. I didn't expect that to be an overtaking opportunity for the three of them there, but Ben Sabakonyi struggling on his hards.
Yeah, and Jarno, the worst part for Alfie was, yes, he did catch up to Jarno, but by the time he's caught up to Jarno, Jarno's within a second of Josh barely. So now that advantage that Alfie had isn't really there, because he won't be able to just fly past Jarno because Jarno has DRS now. As you can see, just within a second there of Josh. So the current top 5 of his at the moment: Lucas, Tom, Josh, Jarno, and Alfie Butcher, still with the top 4 left to pit both the Ferraris of Nicholas and Tomasz. And also we got Jake Benham and Istvan Pukki. And I think Jake was the one realistically fighting with this battle with Jarno, Alfie and Freddie, and the others were a little bit further down, so they might drop back a little bit more than the likes of Jake will have to after he's made his pit stop. You can see now Alfie Butcher within 2/10 of Jan Ortmir as the top 3 all go into the pit lane now. And does Tomasz stay out? Yes, he does. So it will be Tomasz taking the lead. And now look at that exit 4. Alfie Butcher looking to get a move up the inside of Jan Ortmir back into turn 1. And you can see Jarno starting to pull away, but surely Alfie has to send it. He does make contact into the first corner, and that is Jarno off the track. Barely has to come back on. Freddie Rasmussen will gain, but not ideal at all for Jan Ortmir, who now loses the position to Alfie Butcher. And Alfie now into that provisional P4 position. Now that could be something for the steward room, possibly.
Inches away from disaster there. Jarno Ortmir, I think I don't know what happened. Alfie had room on the inside, but Jarno gave him the squeeze. Alfie was more than enough on, he was almost fully inside there. That is definitely going to be one to look out for the stewards, but nevertheless, Jarno Ortmir down the order ever so slightly. He's still within DRS range of Alfie, and he will have the better tyres later on in the Grand Prix. I mean, we know the history between Alfie Butcher and Jarno Ortmir, given what happened, I think, Mexico a few races ago. And I just hope it's not going to be a repeat of what we saw that time by Istvan Pukki getting ahead of Ben Sabakonyi. I think Nicholas Longuet is going to be able to do the same. The strategy has not worked out for the Hungarian whatsoever in this race. We are now watching Alfie Butcher once again on the back of one of the hard runners. It's 4-lap fresher medium tyres strapped onto that Haas heading in towards turn 1. Will he go for a late lunge up the inside? Indeed he will, but he makes contact. He's gone into the back of Tom Manley, and now Alfie Butcher sent down the order. Tom Manley retires on the spot. Safety car deployed on lap 23.
I missed that because I was looking at Danny Moreno, and then all of a sudden Tom Manley spun around. Now, this is perfect for Brashic, isn't it? Oh wait, no, it's not, because he's staying at turn 5. So, who was at fault there, do you think? So I didn't see that.
I've got to say that is all on Alfie Butcher.
Did he go up the inside, or did he slam the back of him?
He's gone up the inside of Josh Adowu. I think he's missed his braking point or something. He went for the late move up the inside there. Tom Manley was at the apex of the corner. Alfie Butcher was never making it, and I don't like to talk about it on stream, but I think that's a boneheaded move from him, unfortunately. And Alfie Butcher, that'll be a heavy, that should be a heavy penalty from the stewards, because now Tom Manley is out of this race. I think he'll also have some sort of penalty coming his way, because he retired on the spot in the, he didn't get damaged, he just retired in the menu. His wheel, what?
Yeah, his front right was off completely.
Oh!
He got a hit.
I didn't see that.
I don't know why. I think it was a McLaren hit him up the inside. Someone come up the inside and slammed him, because as soon as you shouted, "Oh, it's safety car," I saw his front right was off, and someone must have gone up the inside to avoid and just slammed into him. So, I can see it on stream now. Yeah, so he spun round and someone did hit him up the inside, because it's just caught up on my stream.
Right,
So
I didn't see that happen.
shame.
Apologies there, Tom Manley. Then that is none of his fault whatsoever. Everyone's dashing into the pit lane now. All of the medium runners who have started on the hards are able to stay out here. Jarno Opmeer, why is he kept on this set of hards? Why hasn't he pitted? He's not. That is very interesting. It's hard to overtake around this circuit. But now with Lucas Blakely in behind is going to be on fresh, and Tomic as well, going to be on completely fresh medium tyres versus 6-lap-old hards. And it's going to be difficult for him to win this race, but he is a 2-time F1 Esports champion. He's also a WOR champion. He's the current championship leader. He knows better than us, Nathan, but to me on paper, this doesn't seem like the right move.
Yeah, I don't think it is the right move, because obviously Freddie's also on the 6-lap-old mediums, and then obviously Xander on 4-lap-old mediums, and then you got 3 of them, Jake, Ispan and Longay on 2-lap-old mediums. But yeah, the 6-lap-old softs will hold off, because yeah, they're going to be what? Well, at the end we've got another 12 laps, so about 18 laps he'll do on these medium tyres, those hard tyres. I don't think that'll work. I think he'll start to drop through the field. I think that is a big misjudgment there from Jarno Opmeer, and well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Jed, Josh and Fabrizio all go into a set of soft tyres, obviously looking to make some moves on that initial safety car restart. And obviously, Tomac didn't pit. Works perfectly for him. He's now to P7 after having a spin, ended up P14 at one point. And Lucas Blakely as well, I didn't expect him to pit. He's now onto a new set of medium tyres and dropped down to P8. So obviously, Lucas must know he's got the pace to move himself through the field. And we'll see what he can do. But yeah, that safety car threw everything into possibility of who can take some very nice points and who could be on the podium. But currently, it's Jarno Opmeer, Fredrik Rasmussen and Dan Van Dijken.
Well, I mean, certainly, I didn't have this on my bingo card. I didn't expect this to happen at all tonight. Jarno Opmeer leading this race. Of course, the safety car's got to do a mandatory 2 laps before it can come back in. I think we've done 1, so it might have to go around again. Johnny Tormala is also not caught up to the field, so if he's able to get close to the back of the grid by the time we get into the 3rd sector, we should be able to get going on the next lap. What I'm thinking Jarno Opmeer is doing here is that he's banking on the fact that he's got the likes of Freddie, Xander, Jake, Isfan and Nico behind him, who have got worn out medium tyres. We're going to be able to take the fight to, they're not that, even so, they're not even that worn out, but they're going to be able to take the fight with the likes of Tomic, Lucas, Jed and Josh and be able to possibly defend. And then once they burn out all their tyres later on in the Grand Prix, he should be potentially quicker on these hards. We essentially have to scrub off 2 laps of wear, because under the safety car they're not putting anything into the tyres unless they're doing some burnouts behind it here. But I'm just very curious as to what's happened. Safety car in this lap will get going. It's now Jarno Opmeer's decision. He'll control the pace. Yeah,
this is going to be an interesting one, and we'll see who gets it in towards that first corner. You can see Jarno backing everyone up, backing Freddie up behind. Obviously Freddie on the mediums, Jarno on the hard, so we'll see who gets the better run down to that first corner. Also, another driver to keep an eye on is probably Tommy Paragis, who's on those brand new medium tyres, and also Jed and Josh on the brand new soft split. You can see Jarno holding up very well, and he will probably take them all the way around to around turn 14 before deciding to put his foot on the throttle. And he goes early. Turn 13, he's gone. Gets a very nice jump in there. You can see Freddie trying to follow him. Bit of caught off guard there for Freddie Rasmussen. You can see Jake Benham with a great exit, looking to put himself ahead of the Haas and Van Dijken, and they weave down this straight in towards turn 1. You can see everyone gaining on each other. Lucas Blakely also heading down to turn 1 as well. As you can see, battles everywhere. That's one of the Hasses, isn't it? And Jake Benham looking for a move on Xander Van Dijken. Big slide, a bit of contact between those two as we head through towards turns 2 and 3, and everyone making positions. Jake now trying to go around the outside, can't do so. Perfect defence.
Oh, they're 3 wide and there's a little bit of contact. I think Tommy Paragis had something go wrong with him there. Now Lucas Blakely is going down the order. Jed Norgrove and Josh Adowu utilising their softs to the best of their ability, getting up places. Now Danny Moreno, from being eliminated in Q1, up into the top 8, and he's now in P8 here. He's the leading fresh medium runner in this Grand Prix. What a race it's been for Danny Moreno. An incredible recovery drive. Lucas Blakely sent down the order. Something's happened between himself and Tommy Paragis. They were 3 wide at turn number 3, and now all of a sudden they're ghosting through each other. I think Nicholas Longay has been involved in that incident as well. Now Jed Norgrove up the inside of Ispan Pookie. Jarno Opmeer still leading at the front of the order, but he's not broken away from anyone at this point. And now Jed and Josh, they're going to be able to close that gap as best they can as Jed Norgrove solidifies that overtake. Here comes Josh Adowu off the exit of Ari Lundijk in towards turn number 1 of Tarzan blocked. I think Jake Benham once again looking for the opportunity on Xander Van Dijken. He's got the inside line, and there it is. The Englishman up into the podium places ahead of the Dutchman at his home Grand Prix. Jake Benham into 3rd.
Yeah, a bit of a tap there from F1 Picky on the back of Jed Norgrove into turn 1, but Jed now doing a great job in P5. You can see Josh looking for a move up the inside of Isvan Pukki to put himself ahead of the medium runner there of Isvan and puts himself into P6. And now that's Jed Norgrove up the inside at turn 5 ahead of Xander Van Dyken. These softs are mega quick so far as they come through. Jed Norgrove now into the top 4, looking to get himself ahead of the Mercedes of Jake Benham. Very close, 2 tenths in the gap between them as we head into turn 9. And you can see these hard and medium tyres are a lot slower. Jed up the inside as actually Jake Benham got removed from Freddie Rasmussen into turn 10. Jake Benham now trying to make it a 1-2 for the Mercedes. And Freddie's going to fight back up into turn 11 up the inside. And he does brake later, puts himself ahead as now. Jed Norgrove looks for a move, can't get himself ahead as we come through. Bit of a tap on the back of Jake Benham as we head through. Out to turn 12, back onto turn 13. And Josh also looking to put himself as Xander Van Dyken. This is going to be very interesting. And Jed looking in a really good position now as we head out the final corner.
Jan Ortman says, see you bye. He's clearing everyone else at this point. Here comes Jed Norgrove down in towards turn 1. DRS enabled. We're not going to get the taste of that just yet. As now Lucas Blakely on the back of Isvan Pukki. Josh Ado up the inside of Xander Van Dyken as well. They're scrapping it out for P5 in this race. Lucas can't find a way through on the Alfa Romeo. Josh Ado is able to find the position ahead of Xander Van Dyken. Jan Ortman still leading this race, but Jake Benham all over the rear of Freddie Rasmussen in the second sector. He's got 4 lap pressure. Medium tyres strapped onto his Mercedes. In towards turn number 7 they go. He's close to the back of the Red Bull here, and now in towards turn number 8. He's thinking about going up the inside line, potentially in towards turn number 9. Will he go? Oh, he thought about Jake Benham. Is all over the rear of Freddie. Freddie is slow at this point, and now in towards turn number 10. He'll do the same thing he did last time by. Can he make this one stick at the inside? He'll have DRS to go for it in towards turn number 11, but no, he just can't find the move. Freddie Rasmussen, incredible defense from him.
Yeah, Jed Norgrove also had a bit of incident. He nearly hit the back of Jake Benham, went wide, sent Josh Edeno into the top 4. He's now going to be looking to get himself ahead of the Mercedes. Jed tried it, couldn't make it work. Now it's Josh's turn on the soft tyres to try and put himself ahead. But look at this exit from Jake Benham and also Freddie Rasmussen. Who's going to take the lead into turn 1? There's 4 of them possibly. Who can do it into turn 1? You can see Freddie's to the outside of Yoda up here. Also Jake Benham looking to get himself through. Can't do so. Freddie's had a bit of a slide. That allows Yoda to try and fight back out at turn 1, 2. We come through towards turns 2 and 3 now, and Freddie takes lead ahead of Yoda up here. Bit of a tap there from Josh onto Jake. Then Josh round the outside at turn 3. Can he put himself ahead? No, he can't. And then they contact Josh off track briefly after he had a bit of a collision there with the rear of Jake Benham. And now Jed's back ahead of Josh as we head through towards turn 7. And still, Freddie Rasmussen taking the lead of the race ahead of Yano, Jake, Jed, and Josh all in the top 5. And also Isvan Pukki looking to up a move on Josh.
Pandemonium on lap number 29 of this race. We have a new leader in Freddie Rasmussen, as now Isvan Pukki once again fighting it out with Josh Ado with these softs. With all the battling, they've got to be dying off at this point now. On towards this straight, heading in towards turn number 11. Look at this, almost 3 wide in towards the corner. It's such a tight entry. Who's going to get there first? It's going to be up the inside Jed Norgrove of Jake Benham. Josh Ado who gets stacked up, and now Isvan Pukki sees his way through. We'll have a look at the front of the order because Freddie Rasmussen pulling away from Jana Ortmir now in towards turn number 1 off the exit of the final corner. Jake Benham all over the rear of his teammate. Is it smart for the 2 Mercedes to swap positions so that Jake can challenge Freddie towards turn 1? They're crashing down the straight. Lucas Blakely's around. Blakely's out of the race.
I have no words. I do not have a clue what happened there.
My mouth.
Well,
my mouth is wide. My jaw's on the floor. Mouth is wide open. Lucas Blakely out of this race. Contact heading in towards turn number 1. A second safety car of the day.
He wasn't even heading into turn 1. He was just got past the pit exit. It was halfway down. It was just after the start finish line, and he must have been going straight with someone. Got tapped on the rear, and he just flung round at full speed, smashes into the wall, out of the race. 14 runners left, but now do we see Yano and Freddie pit? They've got to, surely, and Jake Benham. They've got to pit. Or do we see everyone pit onto a new set of softs? I don't know how many softs people have got left, but surely, if you've got them, go for it. We've got 6 laps to go. Jed and Josh have showed how much quicker these soft tyres are, so surely you've got to go for it.
I mean, real F1's got Drive to Survive. I think F1 Esports has got Survive to Drive or something like that, because...
Yeah.
I mean, we've now lost 6 drivers in this crowd. I stole that, by the way, from someone talking about Netflix, so I can't take credit for that one there. But
that's all right in the chat as well.
I mean, are they going to pit on lap number 30? Yano pulls the trigger, comes into the pit lane. Freddie staying out on circuit. Jake Benham forced to stay out on track. Josh Adowu into the box. Danny Moreno is Fanpuki. Oh no, Josh is actually staying out on track. All of these guys coming into the pit lane for a set of a fresh set of the soft compound of tyre. We're going to get going around about lap number 33. Is it going to be enough for them to overtake their rivals? I mean, the tyres will be so much fresher, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. This is such an interesting, strategy call here, and I think it's just a coin flip as to whether or not it works.
Well, Jarno, surely it's in the best position to win at the moment. Jed and Josh, they've probably still got a little bit left in their tyres, but they will dive by then. We've still got 5 laps to go. They'll be 12 laps on their soft tyres. Jarno all the way then. They've got brand new softs, and well, you can see you got 7 lap hold for Tomek and Alfie, 11 for Xander, 7 for Josh and Jed, 9 for Jake, and 13 for Freddie. Those mediums and softs have got quite a lot of wear. So now you've got to think, well, you've got lots of Jarno, Isan, and Nicholas. They're in a prime position to try and take podiums and try and win this race. We'll have what, 5 laps I think to race. This is going to be a grand. No, it's in this lap. The safety car's in this lap already.
Safety car coming in at the end of this lap. I think that is due to the fact that if it went any longer, then it could potentially end on the safety car. I don't know what happens. I think we are going to be green no matter what to the end of this race. Freddie Rasmussen leading from Jake Benham, who has 4 lap fresher medium tyres strapped onto his Mercedes. Jed Norgrove and Josh Adowu on dying soft compounder tyres. Then Tomek Paragic in behind, arguably got the best tyres out of any of the top 5. Then we got the likes of Jarno Opmeer, Istvan Pukki, Nicholas Longay on the softs in behind, off the jump already. Jake Benham in towards turn number 1, challenging to the outside of Freddie Rasmussen. The Red Bull defends to that inside. Jake Benham has to go the long way around, and they're going to run side by side off the exit in towards turn number 2 and 3, where we can see potential contact between the pair of them. Jake Benham, the smart move there, backs out of that overtake in towards now the first sector, where it's so difficult to find any moves. Let's have a check-in on Jarno Opmeer. He's all over the rear of Alfie Butcher as they file their way into this first sector for the 32nd time in this race.
Yep, and then we've got Jake Benham yet again within the 10th of Freddie Rasmussen into turn 8. You can see, can he go through into turn 9? Surely not. As Jarno Opmeer ahead of Alfie Butcher. Alfie goes wide, loses a couple of positions. Now it's Fanpuki ahead of the Haas drivers who come through, and Jarno. And look at this pace he's got as that's Tomek Paragic looking for a move on. That is Josh Yidu in towards turn 10. Can he get himself ahead? It'll be close. As you can see, Jarno yet again now looking to get himself ahead of Xander Van Dyken in towards turns 11 and 12. He breaks a little bit later. That's someone going very wide. That's Josh going really wide down at turn 12. And now Jarno looking to get himself ahead of Paragic in towards turn 13. Round the outside, this could end in tears. Jarno up into P5 now. He's got 4 drivers left to get through to try and take victory. He's on 1 lap hold soft tyres. This should really be a prime position now for Jarno Opmeer demonstrate. We've got loads of people battling. We've got side-by-side action in towards turn 1. It is Freddie and Jake fighting for the lead. Jake takes the lead of the race in towards turn 1 ahead of Fred Rasmussen.
Jarno Opmeer on rails at the minute. Everyone fighting up ahead allows for him to take advantage of these guys on slower, older tyres. As now in towards the first sector they go. Alfie Butcher, something's happened to him. He's had a spin off the exit of turn at number 1. He's going to be out of contention for any points in this race. Nicholas Longay, don't count him out as well, as now in towards the second sector. Look at Jarno Opmeer on the back of Josh Adowu, who's got 7 lap fresher soft tyres up the inside and towards turn number 9. Jed Norgrove runs wide as well. Opmeer's back onto the podium on lap number 33, as now in towards the final few corners at the end of the second sector. Opmeer all over the back of Freddie Rasmussen. No DRS this time, but he'll get enabled next lap on lap number 34. But Jarno Opmeer, what a strategy call he's got now, because now contact behind. Jed Norgrove has gone for a spin. More yellow flags into now the final 2 corners. Here comes Jarno Opmeer off the exit of Ari Lundijk once again. Opmeer into second. He's done it. He's back into P2. He's just got Jake Benham ahead of him, and then he will lead his home Grand Prix in towards turn number 1. Jarno Opmeer up the inside line of Jake Benham. Will he make the move stick? Indeed he will.
Jarno Opmeer into the lead. What a move, and that's Josh Yates on the straight. Well, he's had a crash on the main straight. Only 13 runners left. Tom Branches into the pits onto a new set of softs, and then Nicholas Longay, it's his turn to try and fight through the field. He's got Freddie Rasmussen and Jake Benham ahead as we head through up in towards turn 6 and 7. Istvan Pukki also sitting right behind, and Joni Tormala having a great Grand Prix as well. And you can see how much grip these brand new soft tyres have. In towards turn 8, Nico has a bit of a slide, but he does go for the move into turn 9, up the inside on Freddie Rasmussen. He's got it, I think. Yes, he has. Nicholas Longay into the podium from P11, and he actually gets half spun by Freddie. They go side by side still. down in towards 10, 11 and 12, and it's on Pookie, looking to make something work off this as well as we head through, and Freddie just about keeps that P3 for them. He's fighting for his life to keep ahead of Nicholas Longe.
They're all stacking up in turn number 12 as now this is the fight for the podium positions. The two Mercedes streaking ahead up the road. Nicholas Longe doing all he can to try and get by on Freddie Rasmussen. It's 2 to go, this time by Jarno Opmeer. Has this race potentially in the bag as now Nicholas Longe looking up the inside of Freddie Rasmussen, heading in towards turn number 1. Will he make the move, stick up the inside? You bet he will. The Frenchman up into P3. He'll have Jake Benham in his crosshairs and try and go for the move for P2 in this race.
Yep, and now Nicholas needs to get ahead of Jake instantly. Jake is going to hold him up so much now, coming through his first sector. If Nicholas can get ahead of Jake and have that DRS on the front lap, this could be it for Nicholas Longe. Through towards turn 7, Jake is going to hold him up so much. You can see Jake carrying no speed through these corners, and Nico just trying to find a way through and can't do so. This defence is stellar from Jake, but him into turn 9, surely. Jake defence on the inside, Nicholas around the outside. Can he make it work? And Nicholas gets pushed off the trap belly as we come through in towards turn 10. The gap between Jarno and Nicholas, what is it as we come out to the final, to turn 10? It's 1.4 seconds, I think, Dan. That has been worked perfectly for Jarno Opmeer.
Oh my word, and Jake Benham, he's not done there. He's back up the inside at turn number 11. Look at us, Longe off the exit's going to switch him back. Jake Benham, a last gasp effort to retain P2, but I just don't think it's possible. However, they have the DRS straight, heading in towards turn number 1, where Jake Benham's going to be able to open the rear flap and try and go for the move. Once again, Nicholas Longe's got nothing in the battery. Jake Benham up the inside, and he'll make the move. Stick is Van Pookie, going to try and follow through. Danny Moreno in from nowhere up the inside now of Van Pookie, trying to find his way onto the podium.
Danny Moreno is in P4. He started 16th. He's made 12 positions as he's found. Now he's up the inside. There's a bit of contact between the two, and Danny just keep himself ahead. Now we come through, and look at this gap. It's 1.8 seconds. So now there's no chance of anyone catching up to Jarno Opmeer as Tom Prentice takes the fastest lap on the final lap of this race. Nicholas Longe, Danny, it's fun, all looking to get themselves ahead of the Mercedes. And surely doesn't Nicholas make a move? No, he doesn't. He sits back. He wants to keep that DRS down in towards that turn 11 chicane, and it's Van Pookie ahead of Danny Moreno, who made a mistake there. And now Nicholas Longe has one more chance down towards the final chicane to get himself ahead into P2.
The wall of Jake Benham has been erected and no one can pierce through it. What a defence from Jake Benham, and all of this has allowed for Jarno Opmeer to streak away at the front of the order. They don't call him Cook Meal for nothing. He's brought us a gourmet meal, and we're feasting tonight because off the exit of the final corner at his home Grand Prix championship leader, Jarno Opmeer strikes once again on the line. Nicholas Longe gets the move on Jake Benham. He will not allow the Mercedes 1-2. Jake Benham retains the podium. Van Pookie ends up 4th, Danny Moreno 5th, Joni Tormala 6th, 7th for Fabrizio Donoso. Jabo Konyi in 8th, 9th is Xander Van Dyken, 10th Alfie Butcher, Jed Norgrim and Tommy Paragis. Something happened to them. Both Red Bulls retired. Something happened to Freddie Rasmussen there. Oh my, I'm out of breath completely.
I have absolutely no words. My throat is killing me. What a final few laps that was, and the safety cars coming clutch there for Jarno Opmeer and Jake, and it's like watching Red Bull in 2021 at Abu Dhabi. It was Sergio versus Hamilton, and it is like that instantly. Great job from Jake Benham to defend. We saw it, I think it was in Japan at Esports last season. He did the same, and he did get Jarno, I think, a few positions, but then obviously Jarno had an incident on that race. But yet again, grandstand defence from Jake Benham, the Minister of Defence here in WOR tonight, and the gap was 27 tenths between the top two at the end, between Nicholas and Jake at the end, 2 and 3, and Danny Moreno 16 to 5th.
What a race. Jarno Opmeer, I mean, he is well and truly back. He is completely dominating this championship at the minute. No one is touching him, and he is just extending that lead every single race that he can. What a race from the Flying Dutchman. I'd love to hear from him in the post-race interviews. Nicholas Longe in 2nd. 3rd is Jake Benham. A double Mercedes podium. What a well-worked race that was. I mean, that Mercedes team is just a well-oiled machine. No one can touch them at the moment. It's Van Pookie in 4th. 5th is Jake is Danny Moreno. 6th, Joni Tormala. 7th for Fabrizio Donoso. Ben Jabo Konyi, after his what seemed like a torrid race for him, ends up in the points-paying positions in 8th. Xander Van Dijk in 9th, and Alfie Butcher rounds out the top 10. What seemed to be such a good race for both Haas drivers. They were fighting at the front of the order, ends up in just 9th and 10th. Unfortunately, Jed Norgrove and Tomek Paragic, they miss out on points. And then a plethora of DNFs today. Freddie Rasmussen, Josh Adowu, Lucas Blakely, Tom Manley, Jack West, Patrick Sipos, Will Lewis, and Otis Lawrence all retiring from this race. That allows us now to recover from what has been a chaotic race. Unfortunately, not the most clean at all. It was incredibly exciting towards the end, but once again, Nathan, I mean, it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. The driving standards, once again, I think, taking a hit today.
Yeah, and well, not to throw anything into it, but it's it's becoming more common. It's always the same offenders, unfortunately, and hopefully that can change soon. It seems obviously Otis had his penalties and he had his 2 race bans and a quality ban for what happened. He didn't survive the race. I think he retired on the first call. That's in the pit lane, but it seems for him the punishment worked, but we didn't get to see enough of him to see if it truly worked. Yeah. But yeah, it's a big shame yet again. It was great entertainment, of course. It was great for all the for the Mercedes fans here, for Jarno and Jake and the Ferraris, but it's just a big shame that the cause of this was because of dirty driving, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, and Alfie is admitting in the Discord chat that he is so sorry and he can't stress it enough. Jarno's not happy with him in that. I mean, we could talk about it with him potentially. Obviously they wouldn't want to talk bad about their other competitors in the interview, but maybe we can touch on that ever so slightly. I think now we can go over to the interview section because we've got both Jake and Jarno in the interview room. We'll talk to Jake Benham first. Nathan, you want to talk to the man that's finished P3?
So Jake, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
So great defence, to put it bluntly. Great job. And was that the plan to hold everyone up, or was it when the safety car came out? Was the plan to hold everyone up for Jarno, or was you originally going to decide to pit?
No, the plan wasn't to hold everyone up for Jarno. Obviously, we were in a call, and he was going to, once he got through, because we weren't sure how quickly he was going to come through the pack. So when he came through, the plan was to actually let him hold back on pace a little bit because he had so much extra grip, and the guys around me had so much extra grip. So then I can stay in DRS and defend a bit easier. But in the end, it was a bit harder to do, obviously, because I had, I think, 4 soft runners up behind me, pushing me the whole time. So, yeah, P3, pretty decent, but still annoyed we couldn't get the 1-2, obviously. But yeah, with the grip I had at the end, yeah, it was pretty good defence in the end.
Yeah, obviously it was on a lot older tyres, obviously on the mediums as well, compared to everyone on the softs behind, and it was great. Did you think you'd be able to hold them all up, or do you think you would have ended up falling through the field like Freddie did?
I kind of, as soon as I saw Jarno's grip, I was kind of dreading it, to be honest. Yeah, I'm surprised I even finished 3rd, to be honest, but I had to do some send in the middle sector on Nico, so he didn't get away from me into the last sector, starting the last lap. But yeah, in the end, it just wasn't quite enough. I could have possibly used a little less ERS to have to run to the line in the last lap, but yeah, it's just how it goes. And well done to Nico and Jarno.
Yeah, well, that's all from me. Anything from you, Dan?
No questions from myself, Jake, but really well done on this race. I mean, it was incredibly fun to watch, and at the end, I dubbed your defence the Wall of Benham, that it couldn't be pierced. Unfortunately, Nico just snuck through at the... Oh, do you like that one?
Yeah. We'll use it.
I mean, I'll have to trademark that one, but yeah. Also, a lot of love for you in the live chat. Is there anything you want to say to the fans real quick?
Appreciate everyone watching. All the streams and the WR stream, and hopefully next week we'll put on another good race.
Yeah, absolutely, really well done on today. I can't stress enough how fun you were to watch this evening. So really well done. We'll let you get away and enjoy that P3.
Appreciate it. See you later.
Right, that means we can talk to we could talk to Jarno Ottmar next, race winner this evening. Jarno, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so let's talk about your qualifying first. Started in P3, coming into this race, what was your strategy there?
Qualifying was decent. Strategy-wise, I think I just did the same as all the front runners. I started on the softer compound and then moving on to the hards for track position around Zandvoort, which is very important, of course. But once that first safety car came, I wasn't sure, of course, if staying out was the right call. It's just the whole race was all strategy based. Apart from the last 5 laps, of course, it was all strategy. So.
Of course, we expected you to go right to the end on the set of the hard tires after you pitted, but then the safety car came out. You decided to stay out on circuit, and at the time, myself and Nathan, hold my hands up, we thought it was the wrong call. What guided that strategy to stay out?
Of course, I was only on like 4-lap old hard, so yeah, it was a tough call. I knew in the first few laps I was going to be vulnerable. But I had a little bit of a cushion with Freddy behind on old mediums, and I think Chet on old mediums. I'm not sure, but that gave me a little bit of help because they were fighting, of course, the new tire runners as well. And then I think at some point they started to equal out a little bit. So at some point I was finally like, okay, I've got this in the back on my hard tires because my tire wear was going to be much less, of course. And then the safety car came out again, and I was like, I have to box now because by now my tires are going to be like 10, 12 laps old at least. I decided to box for softs because I knew a lot of other people were going to box as well.
Of course, after everything, there's once again a bit of a discussion going on about the driving standards on the whole, just not being great this evening. A lot of drivers DNFing. Anything you want to say about it? Speak on the issue.
No, I think I already said that enough, to be honest.
I kind of figured that you wouldn't want to talk about that. But once again, in the live chat, you get a lot of love from all the fans. Anything you want to say to them?
Thank you everyone for watching. See you guys next week.
Yeah, and I can see in your Twitch chat as well, everyone is laughing at your response to my question there. But really well done. I'll let you get away. Nathan, anything you want to say to Jarno here?
No questions now, but yeah, well done the victory. Nice one.
Thank you.
All right, well done to Jarno Ottmar taking victory here in his home Grand Prix. He is completely and utterly dominating this championship. I believe that we have got Nicolas Longue as well in the commentary box. Nathan, you want to talk to Nico here?
Yeah, Nico, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. It's okay.
So, classic race to say the least. How do you think it went for you on a whole?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how to make my sentence on how to describe this race, because it was chaotic to say the least. I don't know. I just coming in tonight. I didn't have a lot of preparation. I really felt a bit less prepared than all the other races. I know I've had a few unlucky last 2 races in WR as well, and I feel like I wasn't prepared enough to maybe come back on a strong note. As we saw in qualifying, made a mistake, but for the race, all I could do was basically try to go very long and just have better tires for the end, which I think would have worked in some way. Maybe, obviously, we probably wouldn't have finished in P2 where I finished now, but maybe somewhere along the top 6 positions. But basically, after what happened is the safety car came out, put in the mediums, started making up some places, and the safety car came out again. I decided to go softs because, obviously already being P9, I didn't see much of a advantage of staying out, to be honest, if everyone was just going to pit behind me on new softs. So I pitted for new softs, and I'm surprised that the whole field didn't pit, actually, because the advantage on grip, as you guys saw, was just crazy. Everybody just fell through the pack when you didn't pit, and I was, I think, 3rd, net P3 on these new tires, and I just followed Jarno through, basically. I didn't do anything. Then the last stint, Jarno and I think Istan was ahead as well. They were just passing people, and I followed through, and that's about it. Didn't really get into any incidents apart from a little touch I had with Lucas. I think he tapped me on the back. Lost a few places there, actually. But apart from that, it was pretty clean race from my side, I think.
Yeah, and also in qualifying P11, do you think that was down more to the lack of practice, or do you think that you didn't have, quite what it had to get yourself through to Q3 on pace in general?
No, I think I had the pace for sure, because in practice the pace was very fast. But in terms of maybe just consistency, I just didn't have enough time to get my muscle memory properly working for just hitting the same lap over and over again, as maybe the others did a little bit better. Because my first lap in Q2 was actually really fast, and so yeah, it was just down to consistency. It wasn't like to pace, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think obviously finished the second, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I think the gap between you and Lucas is like 2 points. So do you think you can try and get yourself ahead of Lucas by the end of the championship?
I mean, that would be nice. Yes, I mean, obviously the aim was to beat Jarno, but the last two races really did not go to plan. So that really hindered the championship fight a bit, and I think he's pretty much, I don't know, he's maybe like 60 points ahead now, something like that. So it would be pretty much miracle to catch him. But for Lucas, it would be close, and he's gonna bring the A game every week. So I'm sure it's gonna be tough to beat him as well.
Yeah, and that's all from me. Anything from you, Dan?
No questions from me, Nico, but really well done. I think it's a great recovery from what happened last time out in Spain. It's good to see that you're back in proper form, and it was really exciting to watch you race today, so really well done.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for commentating this beautiful race.
Beautiful is certainly one way to put it, but yeah, thank you, Nico, for joining us in the commentary box. So I'll let you get away and enjoy that P2. I mean, it was a very hard-fought race this evening for all of the drivers. Yeah, I think I can bring us back to the intermission scene. Oh, we're just peeking in at the top of your screens there. Sorry, I'm gonna have to quickly. I can't. There we go. We're back. Nico's stayed in the commentary box, but yeah, I mean, what an interesting race. I think that's one way of putting it, Nathan.
Yeah, well, I still want to see what happened to Lucas. That's the thing that sort of intrigues me. It was weird. He was full speed going around up the straight. I want to see what happened there, and also I want to know what happened to Freddie. I have a feeling he thought, well, we're in P9. We're just going to click DNF, because his car was going very slowly down the straight, so I believe he just DNF'd manually. But yeah, it was interesting. It was great, and I'd say if you take away the cause of the chaos, I'd say it was probably the best race this season, in my opinion, from what I've commentated on anyway.
Yeah, I'm just looking back on the stream at the Lucas crash. What I think has happened here is that himself, his teammate Danny Moreno, and Josh Adobo were 3 wide heading down the main straight, just at the end of the pit, just after the pit entry. Danny is on the inside, Josh is in the middle, and then Lucas is along the outside. Lucas is slightly behind Josh, who's going for the move potentially on Danny, who's massively defending to the inside. Josh has tried to come over to, pin Danny to that inside, and then I think there's been a little bit of contact. They've hooked the wheels. Josh has come back across over the left-hand side of the circuit, and Lucas Blakely got completely wiped out. So Lucas not at fault at all there.
Well, that's it's not good to see, but I suppose it happens, doesn't it? But yeah, it was enjoyable, and obviously looking for the whole race. Lots of support, especially for Jarno and Jake throughout that race. So obviously, yeah, thank you everyone for that, and obviously thanks for the support for everyone else, including us as well in the chat. Yeah, that's all from me.
Seeing a lot of love for myself and Nathan in the live chat. It is a lot of fun to come here and interact with everyone and all the viewers in WOR on a Sunday evening. And after F1 sometimes can get a bit monotonous. It's been a good race, to be fair, today, but after a boring F1 race, sometimes it is always lovely to come and commentate over WOR. Thank you to Kevin Carvalho giving us a lot of extra support in the live chat. It's really greatly appreciated. But thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. We head to Monza next, a staple on the F1 calendar, the Temple of Speed, and what better grid than the quickest, one of the quickest on the F1 League racing scene will join us next Sunday the 3rd it will be, and you can watch us live same time, 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. Thank you everyone for tuning in then. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the WOR YouTube channel. We are nearing 15,000 subscribers, and we are so close to that big milestone, and you could be a part of that. As well as that, like the stream and follow us on Twitter. It is is at WOR League. And then if you want to keep up to date with all your WOR news, you can join the Discord. The link will be in the description. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, it is at DanFieldF1_. And if you want to follow Nathan, it is RichieF1 with the I's replaced by ones. Thank you everyone once again for tuning in. We'll see you next week at Monza. Thank you and good night.